swarm of bees going off. And to watch it from down below is an amazing experience. This morning, I'm with Nils Thorgerson and Owen Schneider. Nil created the company, created the program, and Owen is the pilot, piloting 300 aircraft at one time. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine it. How does that even work?
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's been awesome to be out here. But yeah, so we're flying 300 drones for the show at the Fiesta. Everything's pre-programmed. All the drones are following a predetermined path. So once we hit go, the drones take off, and then they'll take over and follow that path along the sky.
And what kind of control do you have from your control panel over there?
Yeah, so I have control over the lights and whatnot during on the ground and doing all the show uploads to get the show onto the drones. And then once the show is going, the drones take over completely. So, but I have the ability to land all the drones during an emergency or turn all the lights on just in case any aircraft approach us and we need to warn them.
That's wonderful. Nils, we were talking before the show. I remember you guys were on AGT, America's Got Talent, which is wonderful. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, that was a little crazy because they approached us, and I never envisioned ever ending up on America's Got Talent, but they were super persistent, and I had to convince my engineers that that was actually going to be a smart thing to do, and we were a little scared of Simon Cowell, but we went on, and we were like the drone nerds, and we weren't wearing spandex or sequins like everybody else. We kind of felt like outcasts, but in the end, Simon loved us, and he gave us the golden buzzer. It was awesome.
That's terrific. Did you actually get to talk to him?
Yeah, no, we did. He came up afterwards. He was super excited because he said, I had an awful day and you guys just saved my day. Thank you for coming.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. Now, where did the concept for this whole show come from?
Well, starting around 15 years ago or so, there were some professors who were doing really interesting experiments with drones and flying them in formations and making them do different things. And I saw some of this and I got inspired, and other people in Europe were also inspired and started doing drone shows and things. And the industry, you know, it took a while for this technology to get developed and to come into its own, and that's what we were really spearheading here. And so it's really only in the last few years that it's become accessible and possible to do this kind of thing at scale.
How do you go about sourcing your actual drone units?
We have to make them ourselves, okay? That was not our first choice, but you can't actually go out and buy what's required to do this. So we had very specific requirements. And unlike, say, going and buying a normal consumer drone, like we don't need a camera, right? We need a big light on bottom. So in the end, we had to make it ourselves.
So you can't just go on Amazon and order 300 drones.
No, indeed not, right? And there's so much more to it than the drones. There's software that obviously has to make sure that the drones don't collide. And there's a lot of other tools that are really important in terms of being able to design these shows.
How long does it take to design a show like this?
This one probably took maybe a week of our designers' time, you know, a lot of back and forth and iteration, you know. Easy shows can be done in a few hours, but more complex shows like this, you know, take a bit longer.
Oh, and how did you happen to come into the drone world?
It's actually a pretty funny story, actually. I graduated college in 2019, and I was looking for a job and basically stumbled upon these guys when they were first starting out. I applied for the job, and they took me, and I was one of the first employees with Verge, and I've been with them for 3 years now, which has been amazing.
What was your background in college?
Yeah, so I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering.
Okay, you guys, if you're thinking about studying electrical these guys are nerds, and they are the coolest nerds I have ever met. How did the company name Verge come about?
I think you know, I have 3 engineers I started the company with, and they were like trying to come up with a name, and just out of thin air, like they saw Verge somewhere and they thought, oh, that's a cool name. You know, it's really hard to name companies and products, so it just came into being that way.
Well, it definitely works. What other kinds of drone shows are you doing these days?
We do all kinds of different things. I mean, we do a lot of corporate work. We do even like birthday parties for people who really want to go wild. We do music festivals. I mean, this is a new art form, and we're still figuring out all the different ways to deploy it. It's really, I think, you know, we're still in like the Model T era in terms of the development of this industry, and there's so much potential, and we're still figuring out cool new ways to use drones.
If you're in the Model T era now, I can't even imagine where it's going from here. It's going to be huge. Where are you based?
We're based in Austin, Texas.
In Austin, Texas. So you had to move to Austin out of school?
That is correct. I actually moved to Philadelphia first, which is where our first office was, and then moved to Austin.
Then moved to Austin, and you're planning on sticking around a while, I bet.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, how can people find you if they want to talk to Verge about designing a drone program of their own?
Well, you can go to our website, www.verge.aero, A-E-R-O on the end.
I love these new website endings. So, Glen, Art, I'm going to send it back to you on the stage, and I want to get up close and personal with some more of these wonderful little drones.
Hey, Ruth, before you get away, I'm wondering what these guys think of the show, because they do all the design on computers. What do they feel when they see the show actually go in the sky and take place?
The question from our hosts is, what do you guys feel when you actually see the show go into the air? How does it impress you?
Yeah, I mean, I always feel a little bit of panic just because I've been with the system for so long, and I've seen some things go wrong. But all these, nowadays the shows run really well, so it's just really exciting to especially see new content that we fly. That's the thing that makes me most excited.
Nils, how about you? What are you thinking about when these things take to the sky?
I've finally been able to achieve a near Zen state. In the beginning, it was sheer terror, and now I'm much more calm because we know it works and we're able to execute reliably.
That's so wonderful. Anything else, Art and Glen, that you'd like me to ask?
No, I'm good. I just enjoyed the show again this morning, and I'm like you, just kind of amazed at the technology and the fact that they have to build their own drones. I just assumed these were like a commercial product off the shelf. Clearly they're not, so kudos to those two and the company for the work that they're doing. I'm sure there are going to be balloon festivals around the country and potentially around the world that will now be getting in touch, having seen what we've done here.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks, Owen. Thanks, Nils. We appreciate that. We definitely enjoy the show. And we'll remind all the folks that if you missed it here live, we're scheduled to do it again at 7:45 tonight, 5:45 tomorrow morning. And if you still can't be here live for that, we did record it earlier this week, and you can go to balloonfiesta.com and look at the Balloon Fiesta Live page and actually check out the drone show there as well.
And that is one video that is worth looking up to see because it is an amazing show. And as I've been saying all week, I think the first time we saw it, it just exceeded everyone's expectations as to what the presentation would be. It really is amazing. And as I say, I can only imagine, I know there's been discussion on our online chat groups of different ballooning events saying, wow, we need to do that here, we need to do that there. So, yeah, I suspect the phone at Verge will be ringing very soon.
There you go. And I'm available to create audio tracks for you.
Well, I do that as well. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, it is Saturday morning here at Balloon Fiesta Park. Normally at this time, we would have the Dawn Patrol show presented by Route 66 Casino and Resort. And because of the moisture that is hanging in the air, our Dawn Patrol show has decided to do a little candlestick show for you. There they go.
There they are.
And so that is our Dawn Patrol show team firing off their burners for your entertainment this morning. And they will continue to do that for just a little bit here. We are headed over to pilots briefing now. We're letting Ruth move from the drones over to pilots briefing, where we hope to get there in time to be able to pick up on the weather.
The updated, latest weather.
Which still changes after we pilots briefing. Last night being a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it's that old saying, you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. And I know that's said around the world, almost everywhere town says it now. But last night it certainly proved true. And once I got back to the hotel last night and was watching the local news, it was shocking to see that storm literally blew up right about where my hotel is, Paseo and I-25, and then moved over us. And this was the only place in Albuquerque that got wet.
It is.
It was like, it was like Mother Nature, as Troy Bradley said earlier this week, Mother Nature's picking on Balloon Fiesta. She just dumped right on top of us, and nobody else even, had a sprinkle.
We were looking at the radar after, they were watching it real time. I got to see it afterwards.
Right.
And at 7 o'clock, there wasn't anything on the radar. And at 7:10, all of a sudden something's there, and by 7:20, it was huge.
Yes.
And basically here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, it literally popped up just about a mile, if that far, from here.
Yeah.
Right around Paseo and I-25 in that area. around the Journal Center, and then moved directly over us, and it was just boom. And I'm seeing a lot of comments about, well, the weather people should have been looking at this closer. And that
it
folks,
wasn't there.
That
it
was a
not there.
pop-up shower, and there is nothing you can do about that. There was no indication that was going to happen.
The good news is
it happened so rapidly. There was, it was amazing that we were able to respond as well as everyone did.
Well, that's what we have a meteorology team here for. They were watching things, and they're saying, yeah, everything's good. And then as soon as it popped up, they told us, they told the pilots, we got balloons down as quickly as we could, although many of our special shapes last night got a very good bath.
They did, and part of the object for today for those pilots will be to get those balloons somewhere where they can get them dry. I was told by one of our officials earlier that Sam Parks, our event director, is working with certain facilities around the area, trying to make indoor facilities, trying to make arrangements so that we can get some of those balloons indoors and get them dried out.
They actually took about 7 of the special shapes
over
out to the University of New Mexico, the indoor arena, and literally cold inflated them. And they were doing that till after 2 o'clock this morning. So they got a number of them mostly dried out overnight. Thanks to UNM for opening their facilities and allowing us to bring some balloons down there. I know some guys just packed it up and are hoping to dry it out today. Some guys actually tried to dry it out on the field last night after we left because the rain didn't stick around that long. It was just really big, really heavy. I think we got nearly a half an inch of rain here at the field.
I heard 6/10 last night on the local news.
Could have been that high.
So I
looked earlier and it wasn't quite that high yet, but it was still raining.
Yeah, so, it was enough that everyone really got soaked if you weren't able to get indoors. But yeah, it was purely, a pop-up shower that caught everyone off guard, and the fact that it blew up to be so big so fast was also, I think, as I was telling you earlier when we were off air, I think perhaps some of the shapes, after we gave them the information to take it down, pack it up, some were slow to do that, and I'm thinking maybe they thought this was just one of those light showers that we've had all week.
It's just gonna come
and if
through.
you just keep the balloon up, the shower will move through, and by keeping it up and keeping heat in it, it'll dry out very quickly. And then, sadly, they found that it wasn't just a light shower.
Yeah, a little bit more to it than they thought, which, everybody makes their guess and their prediction, and you live with the results of that.
Yeah, but there's nothing to be done by pointing fingers and trying to assess blame, because it was just one of those freaks of nature that, it caught us, and very little, if anything, that could have been done, because, as I say, we had just raised the green flag. We were in the process of simply waiting on getting the last few shapes inflated so we could do our first glow of the week, and then boom. And as I say, I thought Fiesta and the officials responded as rapidly and quickly as they could and did a great job of getting people into shelter and, just trying to, ride it out, which we all did. And some of the local news reports, they had interviews with folks saying, hey, I thought it was kind of fun, actually, and a lot of people, I'm not sure I agree with that, but a lot of people came prepared with umbrellas and tarps and things like that. So, you play the hand that's dealt you and you do the best you can, and that's all that could be done last night. So.
And because the fireworks were already set up and armed and ready to go.
There were comments about people saying, well, how weird they're firing the fireworks in the rain. Well, the shells had already been set and were ready to go.
Right.
And they had to fire them off before they got too wet and wouldn't go. And so that was kind of the reason. It wasn't like we were trying to put on a show in the rain. It was more a safety issue where they had to fire those shells before they got too wet and were completely ruined. So that's why the fireworks went ahead.
So it provided a little extra show as people were in line to get off the field last night.
It was interesting, to sit here on the roof. We were fortunately under a roof, but to see it pouring rain and see the fireworks going off.
That was interesting.
I've seen a lot of fireworks shows in my day, but I don't know that I've ever seen one in pouring rain like that.
It was definitely interesting. Again, this is Exxon Mobil Day here at Balloon Fiesta, the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, which this year and for years to come will be powered by Exxon Mobil, as is Balloon Fiesta Live. Exxon Mobil kind of got their sponsorship with Balloon Fiesta started through one of their subsidiaries, XTO, a few years ago.
They were our sponsor up here on the rooftop.
Yeah, and then it expanded to Exxon Mobil, and now Exxon Mobil stepping up yet again to be able to present or power the entire Balloon Fiesta. So we are happy to be working with Exxon Mobil here at Balloon Fiesta. It is our Dawn Patrol show time. And because of the rain showers in the area, our Dawn Patrol show, presented by Route 66 Resort and Casino, they are doing a little candlestick out there for us. And so that's what you see, the flames that are burning brightly, intermittently, and all together, and just kind of giving us a little burner show this morning. And then we are expecting Krispy Kreme to make a decision on their activities this morning. They may also be doing a candlestick for us. We'll have to wait and see. Pilot briefing underway now, and we hope to be able to catch weather over there as they get to that part of pilot briefing. They have started the pilot briefings this year by bringing up past balloon meisters. The balloon meister, of course, is the person who is basically in charge of the flying events and the communications to the pilots about what the tasks or what is actually happening here. And we have had many of them over our last 50 years, and they have invited them all back. Obviously, not all of them still living, some of them not available to be here for other reasons. But we have invited a number of them back and have made them an honorary balloon meister for the day. We introduced them to the pilots at pilot briefing and let them kind of reminisce for a moment or two. We've heard some great stories oh yeah, we remember when those things happened, as things have definitely changed and evolved over the last 50 years here at Balloon Fiesta.
Absolutely. And just for clarity's sake, people are already asking, are balloons flying today? And someone want to know what roof we're on. We're on the rooftop studio, but I'm not sure if it's, this used to be our super secret announce tower when it was just Tom Rutherford and I up here with a couple of microphones.
You could hide behind the railing then.
Exactly, we could. And now, of course, there's cameras and TV lights and all that stuff on us.
Big backdrop.
Yeah, big backdrop. It's not like it was in the old days when it was just a table, a couple of chairs, and two microphones, because all we were doing was talking on the PA here as field announcers. And at that time, when we first moved up here, the FAA had restricted access to this rooftop, and no one but Tom and myself was allowed up here.
Right.
So we used to jokingly call it the super secret announce tower. We could tell you where it was, but then we'd have to kill you. So
that was like when we flew the stealth balloon here.
Yes. Yes.
Finish your story, and then we'll talk about the stealth balloon.
No, so I was just going to say, someone's asking, what roof we're on top of. Well, just look for the bright TV lights and the Balloon Fiesta Live backdrop, and you'll find us. And so, I think they're even showing us on the live screen now. But, so we're on the rooftop. It has now become our rooftop studio, though it does leak sometimes.
Well, it is on the roof, so it is clear sky.
That's right.
Or sky above us. It hasn't been that clear this week. It's been pretty gray and cloudy.
Yeah, it's because we're on the roof, not under the roof.
Yeah.
And so, we're exposed a bit up here sometimes, but hey, it's fun. So anyway, just look for the bright TV lights and the big Balloon Fiesta Live backdrop. We're not that hard to find. There aren't that many rooftops on Balloon Fiesta Park field to begin with.
A lot of tent roofs that are all on angles, so obviously we couldn't be on those. And even the Sid Cutter Pavilion has kind of a rolling roof to it.
That's true, yeah. So we are not on top of the Sid, if you're wondering about that. We're down on top of Sponsor Hospitality.
South end.
South end of the field, toward the museum. So. And then, as I say, people are saying, well, geez, are the balloons going to fly? The balloons going to fly? Well, we don't know yet. I mean, if we knew, we would tell you. We are scheduled to fly this morning, and it's still dark, so we can't fly, obviously, at this hour. We'll wait till the sun comes up. We'll have our balloon of the day and the national anthem. And as I say, we'll be going to pilot briefing shortly. Others are saying, well, when are we going to pilot briefing? When are we going to pilot briefing? When they get to weather, we'll go to pilot briefing. You're going to get the update, so just calm down, folks. Calm down.
Everybody's anxious to fly.
As that quarterback guy said, relax. RELAX. Hey.
We can talk about the RC balloons, the remote control balloons.
Yeah.
You'll remember that we were attempting throughout the week to inflate, set a world record for the most model hot air balloons to be inflated at the same time in the same location. And we needed 55 to break that record. Yesterday morning, we had an opportunity to attempt that record. We were expecting 60 of our 85 remote control balloons to actually be out there yesterday morning. My take of being out there, we probably had that many or close to it.
Yeah.
However, you have to have all of the balloons inflated at the same time.
That we didn't get done.
And with the breeze that was coming in, you'd have 40, 50 balloons standing up, and then 3 would go down, and then 2 would stand up, and then 2 more would stand up, but 4 would sit down. And so, unfortunately, we did not get enough standing up at the same time to break the record. Still haven't gotten an official count of how many we did get up, but I know that at one point we were in the high 40s anyway, so we were close.
Yeah, we were close. I remember hearing, I don't know if it was an official or just someone who was doing their own counting, but while you were down there live, which was a great thing we did yesterday, we sent Art and our camera crew right down there amongst all those little RC balloons. I recall hearing an offhand comment, someone saying we're 9 short. Well, that would have meant we were at about 46 that were simultaneously inflated at that point in time, because we needed to get to 55. I'm not sure we ever got an absolute positive, expert count, but it was in the upper 40s, but less than 10 shy probably of achieving the record.
Yeah, and what great fun to be down in among all those RCs last night. It's one thing to be in and among our full-size shaped balloons, but because they're so wide, the baskets are pretty far apart and the people are pretty far apart, even if the envelopes are touching. With the RC balloons, the mini balloons, they're much closer together and really packed in tight.
And in some cases I saw, people actually were holding the baskets in their hands, in part because they don't have the gimbal control on the burner, so they use the basket to move the burner.
Yep, the basket
so some people,
is the
so you
gimbal.
could walk up, you could be sitting side by side like we are, one
Holding
of us holding
the
a basket, about the size of the covers we have on our iPads today, to aim the burners. So I bet it was a lot of fun. Speaking of fun, let's find out what's on tap for today. We're at weather at Pilot Briefing. Let's take you live to the Pilot Briefing now.
Nearly an hour here over the field, dumping about 0.4 of an inch of rain in that time frame. So just an incredible storm system that we had to work with. Okay, so here's what we've got for this morning. We've got an area of high pressure across the central portion of the U.S. That clockwise circulation around the high pressure will lead to an east to southeast wind across New Mexico today. And then we've also got an upper level low pressure system basically across northern Mexico, and that also will create that southerly wind drawing moisture into the region, and we're going to be looking at more inclement weather again today. So here's what the radar kind of looks like around the region. We've got some isolated to scattered showers north of I-40 this morning, and then once you get south down here, you notice they're a lot more widespread, and that's going to be our future. Say after 8 o'clock this morning, we're expecting that rain to move in and become much more widespread across the area. It'll probably last through sometime mid-afternoon and then start to fall apart. So this afternoon for Music Fiesta and for the glow this evening, we're just going to have to keep our eyes on the radar. Latest observations from around the area, Albuquerque Sunport is reporting a temperature of 56 degrees, dew point 49, relative humidity of 77%. Barometric pressure is on the rise at 30.41 inches of mercury. QNH is 1,024, and the wind is out of the east, 090 at 9 knots. They are reporting an overcast ceiling at 5,000 feet. Over at Double Eagle, temperature of 52, dew point 52, relative humidity 100%. Barometric pressure is on the rise at 30.43 inches of mercury. They are reporting showers in the vicinity, 10 miles visibility, and a broken cloud deck at 3,400 feet. Wind was out of the east, 080 at 3 knots. So with that upper level low, you can see that counterclockwise circulation basically across southern Arizona and southern New Mexico, and then you can see that starting to wrap back around on the far southern periphery of this image, and then you can see that southerly wind prevailing across central New Mexico, pumping that moisture into the region this morning. In terms of what we're looking at in terms of winds, in the lowest levels, we're looking at winds out of the north or maybe even a variable wind maybe even favoring that north or east direction. Then above that, I think we'll have that easterly flow, and then it'll transition to more of a southerly flow once you get aloft, drawing in that moisture into the region. In terms of the taps, what we've got for this morning is at Albuquerque Sunport. They're calling for a 090 at 8-knot wind, and that has to deal with the gap winds that we see down at Albuquerque Sunport. Vicinity showers broken 4,500 and overcast 10,000, and they do have a tempo from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. today of 5 miles visibility, showers, and overcast conditions as well. Over at Double Eagle, they are reporting similar or forecasting similar conditions, wind of 060 at 5 knots, visibility greater than 6 miles, vicinity showers, scattered 4,000, overcast 5,000, and they carry a tempo from 8 a.m. to noon today of 4 miles, showers, and overcast 2,500. So we did run a high ball this morning after the rain stopped, and we did have when we ran it about an hour ago, we had a weak northwest wind in the near surface layer. I think it's possible we could see a little bit of drainage there, but I think it's going to be kind of waffling between that and an easterly flow. Thereafter, I think you're looking at an east wind above that, and then transitioning to a southeast once you get high enough into the atmosphere. Okay, that covers all the weather information. We have Jacob Russo helping us this morning. He is celebrating his second year at Balloon Fiesta here. And do I have a launch director in the area to give Jacob permission to launch the pie ball? All right. Nice job.
So there goes the pie ball, the pilot balloon, helium balloon with a little marker on it. Pilots will watch that to see what the directions are. We're going to kind of continue to monitor what's happening there at pilot's briefing.
Well, first of all, if you're a female pilot, give me a shout. Okay? If you're not a female pilot, let's give them a shout. All right. So they're going to take their annual picture at the base of the tower for all the female pilots. So please come down here and let's see what that picture looks like again this year, and hopefully it gets bigger and bigger every year. So thank you again to all the female pilots. All right, if you'll look up here and go over today's activities. So we're back to the Saturday and Sunday routine.
So while Henry is going over the day's activities this morning for the pilots, we're going to just kind of continue to monitor to that to find out what the decision is on flying this morning. You did hear from Brad Tiemeyer, our official meteorologist, that there is showers in the vicinity at both Albuquerque Sunport, the main airport to the south of us, and at Albuquerque Double Eagle, which is a general aviation airport out to the west. So showers all around the area this morning. And you heard him mention something about a tempo for later today at both of the airports.
Right.
And that is basically just an alert for some less than ideal weather for flying. And as he said, I think both of those were going to start at 8 o'clock and go till noon or later.
Mid-afternoon, yeah.
Yeah. So the airports are reporting showers in the area. Here's the radar that we have from right here at Balloon Fiesta Park. So you can see that there is a lot of showers down in the mid part of the state, and right over the top of us, there continues to be the shower activity going on here as well.
Well, I was going to say, when you use the term in the vicinity, at the moment, the vicinity includes Balloon Fiesta Park. I mean, we do have a light, and most of the morning, since we've been on at 6 a.m., we've had a very light sprinkling falling here. Occasionally we get some slightly larger drops, but it's basically a light sprinkle at this point. But there is rain falling here at Balloon Fiesta Park.
So I'm not sure that we did get an opportunity to hear what Henry told the pilots the game plan is. Our best guess is, as we've seen the Dawn Patrol show, do a candlestick, Krispy Kreme not standing up.
I think Henry's still talking now.
come back to us from east to west, and when they get dead center of the field again, they will expand into a starburst.
Chili flight.
And that starburst is to recognize and pay tribute to our 50th year, or 50 years of flying, our 50th anniversary. So thank you all. Now, if we are in the waves, and again, we're on hold, it would be first wave would be even, and second wave would be odd. All right, so here's where we are. We're on hold. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on that weather, and obviously we know it's misting right now. If there's an opportunity, we'll open it up for a flight. If it is an opportunity, we open the field up for balloons to do a static, and also for those balloons that are here now that want to do a static and dry their equipment out from last night. So if they are in a site and you are around balloon, please work with them. If you have a tarp or extra fans or people to assist them, let's help those folks out too. I know several of them are here and they hope to do something if this mist and precip will stop. So that's our plan. I want to end this today. This is a picture of a home. It happens to be my home back home. And I know most of you are from your home, and your home is far away because not everybody's here in Mexico and even or in Albuquerque here. As you know, that while we're here participating in this, we have our family members and coworkers and supporting the things back at home so that we can do what we do here. And every day I communicate back with my family and I send them some type of picture. And if you've got kids, nowadays kids don't communicate the way that we think they would communicate. You would think you'd pick the phone up and call me, but they don't do that. They're going to take pictures and they're going to text, and you got to be on social media and Snapchat and stuff like that. So I sent this picture the other day, and my son posted this picture. You can read it. Anyway, just know that those folks at home miss us. They may not call you, they may not tell you, but they're telling the world that they miss you. So anyway, let's end today, let's end tomorrow, this weekend with a great opportunity. If we can do something, we're going to do it. If we can't do it, we're going to keep everything dry and secure in our vehicles and in our trailers. So, all right, please go to your site, listen to the Remind system. We'll send something out. We're planning to do the national anthem at that 7 o'clock hour, and you'll have something information-wise right after the 7 o'clock hour. So thank you very much. Let's have a great day.
So there you hear it.
There it is.
Direct from the Balloon Meister, Henry Rosenbaum, to our pilots this morning. On hold, national anthem at 7 o'clock, as we went back to him and he was talking about kind of when they're dead center of the field, those types of things. That will be the flight of our Chile Express group. So
They'll
apparently
be doing
they
a
are still
flyover
scheduled this morning.
And so apparently, they hopefully will be flying once the sun is up.
That would be at 7 with the national anthem as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then, as you heard him say, then they will send information out to the pilots with an update as to what the plans are. And as we heard him say, if the window of opportunity is there to fly, we'll fly. If the window is only an opportunity perhaps to stand up and static display, we'll do that, especially for those pilots whose balloons and equipment got wet last night. If they're, if the rain stops, there'll be an opportunity for them to get the balloons out, inflate them, and get them dried out, and hopefully packed away again this morning.
And that drying out process is really just continue to put a lot of cold air, run the fans through it. You may, at some point, attempt to stand it up and put some heat, which would help that.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that while the fabric is wet.
Wet. That's exactly right.
Because that will only encourage mildew and other damage to the fabric. So the game plan would be, and as you heard Henry saying to the other pilots, if you've got an extra fan, some of those folks can borrow and use, then
and
share.
Or tarp as well.
Or tarps,
and then,
et cetera.
of course, on the ground, you need a couple extra hands, kind of just keeping it open and stretched out, maybe even rolling it a little bit to be able to get the bottom side if the top starts drying.
I told the story earlier this week, years ago, and some of my friends down in Natchez that are watching will remember because they were crewing for me. We got caught in a rain shower. I was flying a 105 for the Thunder and Colt factory where I was working at the time in Longview, Texas, and we got caught in a rain shower. By the time I was able to land at the Vidalia Airport and we got the balloon packed, it was absolutely soaking wet, not at all unlike last night. And the task was to, obviously, we needed to dry the balloon as quickly as we could. Well, we couldn't get it back out. I actually ended up driving home to Texas, to Longview, and it rained for steadily for another 2 or 3 days. So the best thing we could do is what some of the pilots did last night. We took the envelope inside our cutting room floor there at Thunder and Colt, pulled the envelope out, got some cold air fans blowing through it, trying to dry the envelope out. But we really couldn't roll the balloon. There wasn't that much room to do all of that. And long story short, in the end result, we had to replace the parachute and the top 3 panels because they were just so wet we couldn't dry the balloon effectively.
Before that, the
Before
mold
the
and all
mold
that
and the
stuff
mildew
kicked
set in and basically ruined the fabric. So that was quite an expensive flight that I made. Fortunately, it was, I shouldn't say this, fortunately it was a company balloon, and the company absorbed the cost of replacing the top 3 panels of the parachute of the balloon.
And it was a round balloon, a regular shaped balloon.
A regular shape, unlike the special shapes
that got
last
it last night.
So in many ways, I was lucky, but it was still very disheartening, and I'm certainly not proud of the fact that I, significantly damaged a company balloon. But again, that was the same sort of thing. We were actually in flight at a balloon rally, and a shower popped up and caught several of us before we could make a safe landing. And by the time we were landed and deflated and were packing the balloon up, it was just pouring rain. And so much, again, like last night. So yeah, the effort today will be to get those pilots the opportunity to get their equipment out and get it dried if the precipitation stops, and that's a big if here for today.
Well, like you said, 3 days before it stopped when in your situation.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so the only option was to get the balloon indoors and try to do as much as you could, but you just simply couldn't get enough air flowing through the balloon. We couldn't get it, fully cold packed and get all the fabric spread out so that it would dry appropriately. And we ended up damaging the balloon. And we certainly don't want that to happen to these shapes, and so anything we can do, either, as I said, was told earlier that Sam Parks was trying to negotiate with some indoor facilities to provide access for some of the pilots to take their gear indoors if need be.
And we did get a
number.
we did get a number of them inside overnight.
Overnight at UNM, yeah.
Yep.
In fact, one of the assistant balloon meisters, one of the safety team, Tom, showed me a photograph of that.
Yes.
Where they had several of the balloons inflated. It basically was the indoor football.
Their indoor arena over there.
Indoor arena, football
And,
stadium, et cetera. Yeah.
I was talking with our associate event director, who was there until about 2 o'clock this morning, and said some of the balloons probably would have even stayed longer, except that they had practice scheduled in there at 6 o'clock this morning.
Oh my goodness.
So thanks to UNM for helping us out last night, and maybe if there's a break in practice, we can get some more down there and do some more of that. Obviously, these are very big balloons, especially since they were the special shapes last night.
Yes.
So you pretty much need a gymnasium at least, if not bigger areas to be able to set them up.
Hey, we're getting a lot of great comments, and we do appreciate it. We don't get to read them all, but for those of you that are commenting, Pat Wiseman says, you two, let me get back to that, you two do a wonderful job of announcing. Under the circumstances, your informative chats are great. Thank you. Well, thank you for the compliment. And we try to do the best that we can and keep the audience both here on the park and are here in the park, and those of you that are online, as informed as we can. There are always official discussions going on that we are not privy to, and we don't know the discussion until we're basically informed of what the result of that discussion is, and then we'll share that as quickly as we have it. So, but we do try to keep you as on top of things as we possibly can, and Art and I are both pilots of many years' experience, and so we try to bring that to bear as well. We can appreciate what the pilots here are wondering, what they're thinking, what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, and so we try to bring that knowledge to the program and to you as well. Just to, as I try to be as informative as we can, and sometimes we get a little silly and try to be entertaining as well.
You never know when that's going to come up.
That's right. But thank you for the comments from everyone. There have been a lot of them this morning that I've seen. We appreciate that.
Rebecca over on our YouTube feed has actually coined that whole drying out process we've been talking about.
Yeah.
They're just blow drying the balloons.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, in a sense, that's true. Because
That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah,
you're
you're
right.
just blowing air through the balloon to dry the fabric out. So
And we took minutes to explain that. And
she did
summed it up in 2 words.
Yeah, in about 10 seconds. So
Yeah, blow dry.
maybe we're not the great announcers that we seem to think that we are.
Thanks, Valerie. We appreciate another one of those thank you comments about the job we're doing up here. We do have fun doing it as well as.
Yeah, I've always said when this quits being fun, that's when I'll stop doing it. And then after 33 years, you can make the assumption that
it's
still fun. Now, some days it's not as much fun as others,
but it's still fun.
But it's still fun, and I'm really privileged to get to work with a great group of people here at Albuquerque. It's amazing to me that it is my 33rd year here and that they've kept me on board and continue to invite me back, and it means the world to me. I wouldn't know what to do if I weren't in Albuquerque for the first couple of weeks of October every year.
You'll remember 2 years ago, 2020, when we had to postpone the actual event.
Yeah.
All kinds of people were going into withdrawals already.
Right.
And so we decided, well, you know what, we can't let people go through these withdrawals. And so we decided to go ahead and continue to do Balloon Fiesta Live as part of Balloon Fiesta Siesta.
Yeah, and the great thing about that was my commute was just from my bedroom at one end of the house to my office at the other end of the house.
You didn't even have to get dressed from the waist down.
No, I really didn't. We won't go there, but
I'm not going to ask.
No, I'm sure you won't, and I'm not going to tell either. But it was, which was also great because I was at home in Central Time, so I was an hour later. And so I got to, sleep in late and, just barely had to get up and open my eyes and walk down the hallway to the office. I turned on the computer and there we were. So I could just we might just do that live one year. As long as I have a monitor and can see what's going on. You can sit up here in the rain. I could be at home with Ranger in the comfort of my office and under a roof. And, no, that was Balloon Fiesta Siesta is what we called it because we were all kind of taking a nap in the year that we were essentially off for the pandemic. But that, too, was a great experience. And the technology, how Windfire Productions pulled that off with, as I say, with me in Louisiana, you at a studio downtown here in Albuquerque. And then the things we were able to accomplish where we had live video from balloons all across the country, not just here in Albuquerque in that show. That really was a great deal of fun. And Ranger certainly enjoyed it because I was at home to spend some time with him, and he became something of a star on the show that year. He's at home right now kind of pining away because I'm not there. But
you have a monitor to watch him. You have to set up a monitor that he can watch you.
Well, there you go. That might work, yeah. And actually through that little pet camera, I can talk to him.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, I can call him and talk. But I've done that once or twice, but it seems to confuse him because he can hear my voice, but he can't find me.
Right.
And so I haven't been doing that, but it does have that capability. It has come in helpful a couple of times when my pet sitter was there checking on them and feeding them, and I can, if I'm watching live and see that she's there, I can talk to her through the camera, and she can speak back. She can talk back to me if she has any questions or whatever. But yeah, talking to Ranger just seems to confuse him because
I can understand that.
He can't see me, can't find me.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, 33 great years, and I always tell the board of directors here, as long as you keep inviting me back, I'll keep coming back. It's really a privilege to have been up here, even in the rain this year, for all these years and to be a part of this great event. I'm really quite honored and humbled by it all. And great to have you as a partner as well. 6 years that you and I worked together, you impress me every day. Much of what we do at Balloon Fiesta Live is of no credit to me. It's purely down to Art and Windfire Productions. And I can't imagine the hours you spend behind the scenes. I show up and talk for 9 days. That's easy for me to do. I've got an overflow tank of hot air that I'm willing to share. But I know you guys spend hours and hours year-round
Well,
on
coincidentally,
the behind-the-scenes organization of what this program is all about.
Coincidentally, back in 2020 with Balloon Fiesta Siesta, Windfire Productions had just taken over a brand new studio and the new contract for community Comcast community access channels and the government channels, and so they took over the operation of all of those, which got them, I say a new building, new to them, it's actually a historic building downtown, and we were the first production in that studio for at that time. And so we got to debut the studio, and we put a lot of things together, and some of the stuff wasn't actually even in place yet, and we still managed to pull the shows off from there. Hour and a half shows every morning, hour shows at the night, like you said. Video from around the world. Lifting Spirits was a grassroots effort.
Yeah, to keep balloons flying during the pandemic, but on a local level.
Yeah. And so we had lots of great pictures and video from those things as well. We kind of launched our online merchandise options at that time.
That's right.
Balloon Fiesta Siesta.
Yeah,
so
it was almost like you could have been a host on QVC. I mean, you know, you were right there.
We started calling it that, our QVC segment.
I was going to say, you were right there hawking all that merchandise, Ben, just like a pro.
Well, you know, we had, because there's so much lead time on merchandise, which has actually gotten worse. The lead time is incredibly long these days. But we had so much of that merchandise already on its way by the time we postponed the event that we had to do something with it. So we kind of ramped up our online store and started doing those little selling segments on Balloon Fiesta Siesta.
Yeah.
And now our online store is going so well we can't keep up over there. And if you're looking to buy merchandise online, our online store is temporarily closed due to the volume that we are experiencing in our tents here on the field and our physical gift shop. Our plan is to reopen the online store, which is balloonfiestastuff.com, on Wednesday. So Sunday afternoon, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, we'll be working frantically to put everything back together, make sure we know exactly what we've got and how many, so that on Wednesday we can reopen our online store and make available a lot of the 50th merchandise for you to be able to purchase online in case you didn't get a chance to get here or buy the merchandise tents.
Yeah. That's some of the radio traffic that you're monitoring, I know, to keep us up to date on what's happening. Many people on our Facebook feed still asking, what's the update, what's the update? We are still on hold and will be until 7 a.m. at least, at which time we will do the national anthem as anticipated. There'll be a decision then whether or not to allow the Balloon of the Day to launch. It may well just do either a static display or even less, a candlestick display down by the main stage. We do anticipate the flyover by the Chile Express, a great group of volunteer pilots who do these types of operations, and they welcomed us on our opening weekend last Saturday, a week ago, and we still anticipate that they will do their flyover this morning, but that will depend too once the sun comes up and we see how much cloud cover we have. And I'm just looking up now, and there's significant cloud above us. There are some lighter spots, but there is still significant cloud cover above us, and we'll have to see if that impacts the Chile flight.
So still, a little less than 10 minutes away from.
Yeah, so we're still on hold. Nothing's been canceled yet. People asking that online on Facebook, are they canceled? No, we're not canceled. We're simply on hold, as we have been for most of this week, it seems like. But we've also seen, by going on hold, times when windows of opportunity, as we've come to call them, have opened up and have allowed us to have some amazing morning flights.
Great competition on Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, some awesome competition, and we're certainly hoping that will be the case today. So, and it's nature. We can't say now what's going to be happening. I'm slipping off my chair. Our chair, we have some really nice folding portable camp chairs that we use here on the set, and they're very nice, but they got soaked last night, and Art opted to leave his aside and just use the little folding chair. I opted for our standard camp chair, and so I've got it covered with a plastic bag to try and insulate.
Or we'll be drying you out later if you hadn't used that.
We'll have another big special shape to dry out this morning. So I'm trying to use that to insulate myself, to keep my bum dry, as it were. and it's largely working, although because it's a plastic trash bag that I'm
Little
that's
slippery?
between me and the chair. It's a bit slippy. Yeah.
Hey, you know, yesterday we talked about what great competition we had yesterday.
Yeah.
And we saw Chris Sabia in the Wonder Balloon
Right.
come in and get a pole. We actually, a couple of our photographers managed to get some great pictures of that. I don't know if we can pull those up from the truck or not. But as I was looking last night to see what kind of Balloon Fiesta Live footage we had of that, I noticed that another person got a pole
That's
yesterday.
what you were saying. There were two people who each got a pole yesterday.
It was Rhett Hartzell.
Oh, okay. All right.
So our video caught it, and all we could see was the skirt and the basket. So it was a little more difficult to determine who that was. But of course, the ring has a tag on it with the pilot name and banner number, etc.
Right.
So when the scorers got to that later yesterday afternoon, there's the pictures up on the screen that you see. Those are from our photographers. Jennifer Wolf and Don Henderson both were out there, managed to snap the picture of Chris doing a picture-perfect approach and literally just reach out the basket and set the ring over the pole.
Right.
That's the way that absolutely works the best. Although I have seen, and we have video of folks literally doing a frisbee toss of the ring and hitting the ring.
Yeah, but that's rare.
It is.
That it works.
It is very rare.
Generally,
I got a whole lot more video of that not working
than
of working.
Yeah, generally you have to be right at the pole and just be able to reach out and drop the ring straight over the pole, which is what Chris Sabia was able to do yesterday.
As did Rhett on his.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah,
We just
it's the same thing.
I haven't seen the video.
Yeah, well, and we wouldn't have seen it from here because there were 3 or 4 balloons between him and you and our cameras
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
Even between me and the poles, because we were kind of in the middle of the field, more by the Gordon Bennett Memorial targets, and the poles were out on the far north end.
Yeah, and so, but congratulations to both Rhett and Chris, since they got individual. They each got their own individual pole. Each pole, when we have those 5 out there for Thursday and Friday's competition, is worth $2,000, and so each of them will be collecting a little later today.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, when you and I host the awards banquet, and we'll have $2,000 checks for both of them, and then we had polls taken on Thursday too. Tomas Hora got one on Thursday. Remember?
He did. I'm trying to remember
and there
the
was
other
a second pilot that got a poll that day, and I can't recall who that name was. Okay, we're both laughing because our producer was telling us on our IFB that they're having a party down at the stage because the burners you see firing off and on down there are apparently glowing to the beat of the music that's being played down there while we're waiting for the national anthem.
Those would be our balloonists of the day. Looks like that's Tristan McClain
Yeah, it
with
looks
our
like
Exxon
him. We
balloon.
see him waving with the cowboy hat on.
So Matt McClinton would be there, the other Exxon balloon, and I'm not sure who's going to fly or be the third balloon today. But there you can see the flag is actually stretched out off the basket. No envelope standing up, so it will be a candlestick burn with our national anthem.
So sprinkles or not, people are still having fun, and that's what it's all about.
The other thing I was going with on that competition there, I talked with our chief scoring official, Tammy Luna, this morning, and she said, we watched your show about 25 times yesterday. And I kind of looked at her, and she said because they had to keep going back to watch our coverage to check on how a pilot threw that marker or dropped the ring or whatever their part of the competition was, so that they could verify that there were no rule violations and things like that.
Right.
And so she says, yep, we got to really good. It was like at the 3:12 mark on the feed. They watched a lot of it. So not only do we serve to inform and entertain and educate, but it's also a documentary process as well.
Yeah, we are now the video of record, apparently, for scoring.
Well, we had that conversation on the day we did the Sid Cutter Memorial. They went back, especially
to review that marker the pilot threw that did not unfurl as they are required by rules to be unfurled when the marker is thrown, and one of the pilots did not, but got into the boat. So there was that whole discussion about,
did he gain an unfair advantage by
Right.
leaving it still wrapped up, or what was the deal there? And they did end up penalizing him 50 points.
well,
in
and
the
you know, and
process.
to his credit, he was at such low altitude. There was no time once he threw. You know, if you'd
Yeah,
thrown
yeah.
from 200 or 300 feet up, the marker would have naturally unfurled itself.
Right.
But because he was down literally just a few feet off the ground and tossed it over into the boat, there was no time for the marker to unfurl itself. And so, ideally, what he should have done would have been to unfurl it and then bunch it back up, so that when he threw it, it would open up.
Which is what Mark Sullivan
Which
did
is what
when
Mark
he came
Sullivan
through.
did.
Yep.
But this pilot didn't. He took the marker as we gave it to him. They're just all rolled. They're rolled up, and he took the rubber band off of it, so it wasn't bound. But when he threw it, it didn't unfurl. And yeah, that did cost him a small penalty, because that is in the rules that your marker has to be unfurled.
It didn't push him down the rankings too far, though,
No.
in that particular task. Just enough so that he wasn't second anymore.
Right. So we're nearing the magic hour for our national anthem this morning.
They called it at 1 minute. So we will have the national anthem, the burners being lit up by our Exxon Mobil balloons of the day.
And potentially the overfly by Chile Express. We'll have to watch to see, as I said, what impact, if any, the cloud cover is having on that.
Everyone watching their watch,
Yeah.
and the seconds.
The awkward
click
silence
down.
as we're all expecting a countdown to the anthem, and there was no countdown. There it
Here we
is.
go, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem, performed for us this morning by the 44th Army Band. The 44th Army Band, our national anthem, our all burn of candlestick burns, and the flyover by Chile Express. Keep an eye on the Chile Express as they will make a left turn, fly off to the east side of the field and come from east to west back over the field and do their starburst pattern for us.
A couple of the media helicopters are up there as well this morning, which is not surprising. As we wait for the return of Chile flight, Chile Express.
And unfortunately, I lose the view of them because of our roof right next to us.
I know. We were talking about that this morning, about how in some cases it would be helpful if we had a roof over our heads rather than just being on the roof. But that was one of my comments, is that the problem then is we can't see above. And sometimes that's very helpful to be able to do that. We should call that, what's that awning company that advertises all the time? And do a transparent, see-through awning. That would work. We could roll it out when it rains, and it'd be like the sunroof in my car. I can keep the roof closed, but see through the glass.
We'll keep an eye for them to come back around.
Yeah, they're up there somewhere, we think.
Okay.
All right, our production team, our truck tells us they're on their way back. This time when they come over the center of the field, they will break into a starburst type of pattern.
Here they come. There is the break into
There's
the starburst. And our balloon pilots celebrating our 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Can we just keep those burners turned on? It feels kind of good up here.
It does.
What a great display by Chile Express.
A group of pilots, all volunteers, maintaining their own aircraft. And we've had them out here a number of years now doing the flyovers. Always great to have them here, and we always enjoy their flyovers.
Absolutely.
The Chile Flight Express. And thank you, pilots, for the all burn of your burners this morning as well. So we are officially underway now with our national anthem, although officially at this point means we're on hold.
I was going to say, were we unofficial up until this point?
Well, the national anthem is kind of the.
I
yeah,
know.
We do so much stuff before sunrise at 7 o'clock, and
I
call it the official start of the day, and everything before that is pre-official.
All right.
Not unofficial, pre-official.
Pre-official. I'll give you a little slack on that.
All right.
It's a little bit like being in the Army. We do more before sunrise than most people do all day, to paraphrase, obviously. Hey, there's a big cloud bank I see again this morning over in the foothills of the Sandias. So
low, so that you can see
very
the
low.
mountain.
You can still see the
ground.
peak, just barely, but there's a low band, as we've seen throughout the week, down around the foothills. I think our intrepid field reporter, who also is now official since it's 7 a.m., has an official interview for us this morning. So, Ruth, where are you and who are you with?
I am very official this morning. I'm down here in the South Merchandise tent with Tom McConnell and Kim Besley. Now, Tom is one of the authors of this beautiful book, 50 Years of Balloon Magic. Tom, how long have you and your co-authors been working on this project?
Approximately 4.5 years. We did a 45th book, and we did a 40th book, and we weren't paying attention one day, and they conned us into doing the 50th book. Same people.
Oh my goodness, so I'm thinking there's going to be a 55th and a 60th.
55 years. Boy, I haven't even thought about that. Thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome. Now, what is in this book other than these beautiful photographs? Is there history and other things like that?
About 90% of it, the book is the most dynamite photographs that we could find. And we started out, we said, let's do a coffee table book to commemorate 50 years of Balloon Fiesta. So that's what it is. They're done in chapters. There's text written, much of it by this lady here, Kim Vesley, standing next to you. The four of us, we agreed early on that the four of us had to agree for every single thing that's in this book. And believe it or not, we did, and we're still friends.
Well, that's something. And Kim, you have done an amazing job this year putting together the biggest Balloon Fiesta program that I have ever seen. How long did that take you?
Well, we did this in about 9 months, actually. We started on it after the end of the last Balloon Fiesta, and we're kind of thinking in terms of a package. There's the book that Tom described. There actually is a children's book as well, and then the program was going to be the repository for Balloon Fiesta history. So what we wound up doing was putting together a comprehensive history, probably the most comprehensive that's ever been assembled on the Balloon Fiesta. We did it in about 8 months.
Wow, can you open it up and show us some of what's in here?
I can try. Let's see. It goes kind of year by year. It describes all the major Balloon Fiesta events. There's a timeline, which kind of opens up there of the entire history of the Fiesta. There are sections on, let's see, this is probably Balloon Glow. There's something on the Special Shape Rodeo, which is, of course, everybody's favorites. And you also see the things you'd see in a regular program, the balloon directories and a lot of the information about Fiesta, and also a brief synopsis of every one of the 50 years.
That's wonderful. Now, I want everyone to know that Tom and Kim are here in the South Merchandise Tent. They will be autographing the program and the book. And for anyone who would like to have that kind of a special souvenir from Balloon Fiesta 50th edition. Glen, Art, we'll take it back to you.
Hi, fellas.
Thanks, Ruth. Thanks, Tom and Kim.
That is an amazing book. I have the good fortune, being the editor of Ballooning Journal, that Ballooning Magazine, that I typically receive review copies of those publications, and I did, of both that book and the children's book, but I wasn't smart enough to think to bring it with me because I didn't know they were going to be doing book signings here.
Oh,
Mine
yes.
don't typically come signed, but I get an early look at those, and that is it's a great addition to my rather healthy ballooning library. As I say, one of the perks of the job of being editor of Ballooning is, in fact, I got a phone call yesterday at the hotel from an author who's written a new book about a lady balloonist who he was telling me became known as the parachute queen of the skies. Back in the 1800s, she was doing smoke ballooning and parachute jumping.
Right.
And he's written a new, it's a story I've never heard before. It's a bit of our history, and so he's written a new book about that and is sending me a review copy. So
Nice.
Yeah, so that's one of the perks of the job.
I'm not sure they mentioned, because I stepped away, our officials, by the way, you know, that tower used to be right in front of us, and they moved it down the road. This,
Oh, the one that was right here,
the
yeah.
officials tower. Well, they are not on the tower. They are literally behind our backdrop here this morning.
Well, we were discussing that pre-official this morning, that I can't recall a year when there have been so many, shall we say, official meetings in our what is typically our green room, just next door here behind the glass wall. But yeah, normally there is a small tower that sits within talking distance from our rooftop. But in order to accommodate the Exxon Mobil tent that they wanted, we moved that tower down a bit from us, where we're no longer in visual connection nor shouting connection with them. And so
but they're all right behind us right now.
Yeah, there have been a lot of meetings in.
Well, they moved inside. Yeah.
Well, of course they did, because they can get under the roof. We can't.
Well, actually, it looks like there's one going on inside, and I'm getting told there's still another one.
Oh,
going
is there
on
another going out?
Yeah,
behind the backdrop?
there's that many of them here.
So it's like the Wizard of Oz. We could drop the backdrop here, and you could see all the magic as it really happens.
Yeah. I wanted to just tag back onto the program piece that we were talking about with Ruth a few minutes ago. And the program actually, I don't think they mentioned this, actually has a number of QR codes scattered through the program that you can scan with your phone and get even more information, as if 280 pages of the program weren't enough.
Yeah.
There's some historical video links there. There is a link to all of the pilot names that we have who have participated over the last 50 years, and actually even links to Balloon Fiesta Live so that you can go back and watch all of our shows over the last 6 years.
Well, I had that program in my gear bag, the backpack that you and I both towed around all week long. But the program weighs like 2.5 pounds, and so I took it out. Yeah, I'll look at it and read it later, of course. But
but check out those QR codes that are in there that will bring even more information and videos to life as you go through the souvenir program available.
And kudos to our colleague Kim Vesley for the great job that she did on that program. Kim works with us as part of our team here at Balloon Fiesta Live, and as a fellow publications person, and Ruth was actually editor of Ballooning before I actually inherited the job from Ruth, so she knows the trials and tribulations of doing publications as well, and so we both have an appreciation, as you heard her express, for the work that Kim did to create this year's official AIBF program. And speaking of Ruth, she has another guest. I think we heard earlier that it might be John Davis, member of the board of directors here, and my very good friend, but let's find out. Ruth, take it away.
Yes, indeed, I'm down here with John Davis this morning. A week ago, a little over a week ago, we had a very special ceremony up at the Albuquerque International Balloon Museum, where your late wife, Carol, was inducted into the International Ballooning Hall of Fame. Tell me how this came about.
Well, I think that all of us know Carol's accomplishments over a period of time. And this last year, the FAI-CIA decided to induct her into the Hall of Fame. So it's been just a little over 12 years ago that Carol and Richard were killed, and I think it's a great honor that...
For those, many people on the field knew Carol and Richard well, but for those who don't, can you give us a highlight reel of some of the wonderful things she accomplished, both in ballooning and outside of ballooning?
Well, she was, really an amazing woman. I was married to her for more than 40 years. She was the youngest person to ever climb all the 14ers in Colorado. Was an accomplished ski racer, bicycle racer, physician, don't forget that. And also a colonel in the Army. So really a very accomplished person, a world-class balloonist. The only woman to ever win the Gordon Bennett. So that was an amazing accomplishment. And just all sorts of awards that she's earned over a period of time.
Many world records, too.
I've lost track of how many world records she had, but she was recognized for that. She received a number of trophies. As a matter of fact, we were in Washington when she received several of the major awards. And just a wonderful person, and we all miss her.
We do. We all do miss her. And to end this conversation on a happier note, we learned this week that you are going into the U.S. National Ballooning Hall of Fame.
I am. Thank you.
And no one could be more deserving of it than you, John. We're very, very happy about that.
Thank you, and it's a great honor. I've had a great time. This is my 47th year at the Fiesta, and I've had a great time in ballooning. It's been a wonderful life.
We all
Still
know
is.
We all know you're not old enough to be one of the original 13.
No, I'm not.
Well, we're going to send it back up to you on the stage, and I'm going to give John a big hug, and we're going to get back to work.
All right, Ruth, thank you, and give my congratulations to John. I knew about his being selected to the U.S. Ballooning Hall of Fame, but we're not allowed to reveal that until each of the nominees is notified by the Balloon Museum, the National Balloon Museum, up in Indianola, Iowa. So I think it's incredible that Carol's going into the FAI Hall, the International Hall of Fame. John's going into the U.S. Ballooning Hall of Fame in the same year, and my sincere congratulations to my friend. Carol, as Ruth said, we all have a story Many of us knew Carol and obviously John very well, and we all have a story. By the way, before I get there, I would also say I was asked to write one of the nominations for John to get into the U.S. Ballooning Hall of Fame, to support that nomination, and I was proud to do that. But we all have a story, those of us that knew Carol and John, about them. And mine, I look back on it, and I owe the two of them a great debt of gratitude. Back in the, I guess in the early 90s, when I was working at Balloon Life, my politics were very anti-Balloon Federation of America at the time. Now that's a little odd to say, given that I'm in my 22nd year as the editor of their magazine. But John and Carol pulled me aside here at Fiesta one year and kind of took me to the woodshed. And basically their message was, hey, kid, you can either be part of the problem, or if you don't like the way things are being done, get involved and change it. Be a part of the solution. And that changed my outlook on things, and I did get involved. I served a term on the board of directors of the Balloon Federation, and then when Ruth decided to announce her retirement in 1999, I applied for and won the job as editor in 2000. I've been editor now for 22 years, and I owe, I point to that conversation with John and Carol here at Balloon Fiesta for really turning that whole thing around for me. And so thrilling news to see Carol go into the International Hall, and absolutely thrilled to see John going into the National Hall of Fame. And the fact that they're going in together in the same year, I think, is just really well-deserved. And congratulations to them both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to catch you up on the situation here at Balloon Fiesta Park, we are on a hold this morning, and the next update to our pilots is supposed to come about 7:30, so that's another 12 minutes or so from now. Our officials continue to watch the weather in the area. It has continued to just
sprinkle, spritz.
Even spit is almost more the term. It's maybe a little more than that.
Some people can spit quite a volume, and we haven't seen that. I like spritz more.
Yeah.
But
and
whatever.
Meanwhile, a number of our pilots are putting on a little show with their burners. Saw Maya Hackett there a few minutes ago, burning so a couple could pose for a photograph with the burner going in the background.
Well, and Maya Hackett, of course, is the lady who created the amazing quilt that I had done using some of my past Balloon Fiesta jackets. She and I had a conversation here last year. I packed a bag full of about 9 or 10 of my past Fiesta jackets. You've seen people do those T-shirt quilts. Well, that kind of gave me the idea. And Maya was explaining it was an awfully more difficult job to do with jackets. For one, because with a cotton T-shirt, you can iron, the T-shirt flat and then apply the backing that's required to put it onto a kilt, etc. Well, you couldn't do that with the logos off the jackets because typically they're nylon and it would melt.
Right.
So it was a rather labor-intensive project that she undertook for me. But she delivered the quilt earlier this week, and I posted it on my Facebook page if you want to see it. It's absolutely stunning, and I could not be more happy with the end product. So nice to have Maya out there doing a little candlestick burning, as are so many of the pilots this morning. Everybody wants to put on a show, and someone made that comment in our Facebook group last night, and I would reiterate it. Yes, the crowd goes away disappointed. Even our online viewers are disappointed when the balloons don't fly, but we are too, folks. I mean, we're nothing if not extroverts. We're here to put on a show. We like to show off with our balloons and share them with the public and the world to see how beautiful and creative and colorful they are. And when they stay in the bag in the back of the truck or in a trailer, that's not what we're all about. So it may be hard to understand, but trust me when I tell you, the balloonists go away from a canceled performance just as disappointed, and in some ways perhaps more so than the public does. Boy, the mountains, the Sandias, are really shrouded in cloud this morning. That cloud bank has really expanded, and you can just barely see some segments of the Sandias now.
one of our official photographers, good friend of mine, Don Henderson, has snapped some amazing pictures of the clouds over the mountains.
Yeah?
And has been sending them to me, and he's been doing the black and white treatment on them.
Oh, okay.
And it makes them very stunning.
Oh, yeah, the old Ansel Adams treatment.
Exactly.
For those photographers who know who I'm talking about.
In fact, he posted, I think, one, and somebody actually called him Ansel Henderson. So,
yeah.
But we're getting some great photos from our official photographers. Of course, all those will end up going, not all of those, but we'll pull from that selection to produce not only our calendar, but they'll go into our training videos, they'll go on our website, they'll go into our survivor's guide, they'll go into our guest guide, they'll go into our schedule of events. So we use those photos all over the place, as well as adorning our webpage with it as well, balloonfiesta.com. So you'll benefit from the work of our photographers. They also go into the program and other places. Pretty much any place we put Balloon Fiesta images, it's coming from our official photographer team. You can apply to join that team in the March time frame. Just check out the photo highlights page, the official photographer page on balloonfiesta.com. Applications open in March, and they're only open for a short period of time for you to apply to be an official photographer at Balloon Fiesta. But that also brings up, if you don't want to be an official photographer, but you're taking great photos out here,
you can be pre-official.
You can enter the Cindy Petrin Memorial Photo Contest. That is also available on our website. Cindy Petrin, a longtime professional photographer who was the official photographer before we started doing groups of them.
Right.
She was the official photographer for many, many years here at Balloon Fiesta and delivered just stunning pictures for us for her years. We now have a photo contest in her memory. We have a number of different categories, from balloon glow to Dawn Patrol to Mass Ascensions, etc. We added a new digital art category this year, so you can kind of take pictures and doctor them up and make new composites and all those kinds of things.
In other words, you can Photoshop them.
That's the word I was trying not to use, but
that's
the word. Well, because I'm not ready, like Kleenex and Coke, being brand names that have become also the generic term for everything.
Yeah, well,
but
get on board, buddy, because Photoshop is there.
I understand.
Now when you doctor a photo,
you Photoshop
it.
Yeah.
Because that's the software that for so long so many people use. Now we have Lightroom and all sorts of other things, but it all started pretty much with Photoshop.
It was.
And so it has become a generic term, just like, Xerox is, any photocopier or a photocopy page is Xeroxed.
Yep.
And because it's a brand
so
name,
it is
has
Photoshop.
So it's Photoshop.
It is. We just didn't put that as the name of the category.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah. So anyway, you have to have taken pictures during Balloon Fiesta this week. I forget what the deadline is to actually submit those, but it comes up quickly. So you'll want to go and submit your favorite photos. There are some pretty nice prizes. And, of course, we will take a look at those photos as well as those of our official photographers as we prepare the 2024 Balloon Fiesta calendar. Sounds like a long way away, but our 2023 calendar is already out. It comes out in the July time frame, so that you actually have about 6 months to grab that calendar before it actually goes on the wall and goes into use at your home. So we'll actually be starting production of that calendar here for 2024 coming up in the November-December timeframe. That's how far in advance we do things to be able to pull things together. And I mentioned to you the other day, all of the jackets and the design of the logo for the 51st Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta be working on here late October. A lot of product gets ordered in November and December already for next year.
Yeah. I keep looking down occasionally at the chat going on our Facebook feed, and I'm always amazed at some of the conversations. Now, I will start this comment by saying our audience is incredibly well informed in most cases, and many times they save our you-know-what's up here when we get stumped or stumble upon something we can't recall or are not quite sure about, someone in the audience almost always has the right answer and informs us of it. But I was just looking at a comment, and I won't call out the person who made it, but the comment was they should have canceled Fiesta or postponed Fiesta, especially with the hurricane. You have no clue what you're talking about when you talk about postponing an event this size. It's like, oh, wait, it's going to rain Saturday, so let's postpone the Super Bowl being planned for the next day until next month. Let's just wait and do it then. This event is such a massive undertaking. As Art was just saying, the planning for next year's event will begin within about a week of the end of this one. There are over 1,000 volunteers that are involved. There
1,300.
are however many vendors that are involved. There are caterers that are involved. There are suppliers of tableware and linens and chairs and tents, and on and on and on and on. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. The idea that we could postpone Fiesta on short notice is just preposterous.
Don't forget the 900,000 people that come out to Balloon Fiesta, many from all over the world.
Including myself. I travel some distance to be here, and it's just, that's just preposterous. There's no way you could postpone an event this size on short notice like that. The best you could do would be to simply cancel it, and that takes... involves then a huge economic impact to Fiesta as well as to the city of Albuquerque, the state of New Mexico. Again, all of the vendors would be impacted, all the caterers, product suppliers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's not an easy decision to make. Even on a day-to-day basis, as we've seen that we've had to deal with weather with regard to our individual events, all of that gets taken into consideration before they make a decision to cancel a day or an event's activities. But postponing Fiesta would not have been an option. That's just impossible.
We set the dates. It always starts on the very first Saturday.
Right.
Goes for 9 days through the second Sunday. So those dates are set basically forever, if you will, as we know. That's the date, and we all know this is weather. We plan around it, and we know it's a weather-dependent event.
Every balloon event in the country is weather-dependent, and there are tons of balloon festivals. I've been to many. Well, for years I was the announcer at the Plano, Texas Balloon Festival, and the last year I was there, as a matter of fact, was when they had that torrential flood and the entire field was turned into a lake. They literally had the fire department going into the vendor area rescuing animals that were at the SPCA tent because they were in cages and had to be brought out, but the floodwaters were so deep they could only get in and out of there by boat. They didn't you don't postpone events of this size or even that size, and Plano is a great deal smaller than this. We are weather-dependent events, and you play the hand that's dealt you, folks. And this year, Mother Nature has dealt us, kind of under the table. Let's face it. But, we do the best we can. We work with it. And by and large, I think people here have, they've had a great Fiesta. I haven't seen a lot of bitching and moaning and complaining. Even in the pouring rain last night, the news reports showed people saying, hey, it was kind of fun, It was different.
we got the shapes up. We got a chance to see them, albeit for just a few minutes. And then the rain came, and it came very quickly and very heavy.
Right.
And we just don't see that kind of rain.
No.
Here in Albuquerque and a lot of places in New Mexico. And as you pointed out earlier, it was very isolated. It just was like around the park here. You didn't have to go a mile away, and the road was dry.
And you could be out of the shower. There was no rain even. It was just really amazing. But like I say, we're a weather-dependent event. We're an outdoor event. We play the hand we're dealt. And last night and throughout the week, Mother Nature has dealt us a pretty poor hand. But, we've tried to make the best of it, and that's all you can do. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant, but the idea that someone says, oh, well, they, I know more than everybody else, so they should have postponed. No, that ain't happening.
Well, as those decisions continue to get made throughout the day on a literally minute-by-minute basis.
Exactly.
We do have an update. It is 7:30, and we promised there would be an update at 7:30. Our flights this morning have been canceled. There will be no flights from the field today.
Okay.
However, the field is open for static displays. So balloons can stand their balloon up and give us a little show of fabric, and we'll see the balloons. And again, the field open for static displays. Of course, always pilot discretion. Some pilots may decide to at least cold inflate their balloon to see if they can get it a little less wet from last night. And we'll see what happens here on the field. We may see a number of candlesticks. We'll have the opportunity for a static display as well. We'll see some activity here on the field.
Probably,
but no flights this morning.
Okay, and we may see a lot of activity. We may not see that much, but the positive that you can draw from that would be the indication that means the rain showers that have been spitting on us all morning have now stopped and presumably are going to continue. How am I trying to say this?
Not be here for a while.
They're not going to be here. It's not going to rain for a while.
There you
because
go.
They would not offer the opportunity for the pilots to pull the envelopes out and inflate them and display them if there was any danger of another shower being close by and happening in the next little while. So the idea is that with a static display, especially those who got their gear wet last night, now might be an opportunity for them to get the gear out, get the balloons dried out, and then packed away. Granted, the ground is wet, but that's what tarps are for. And so we'll look to see if we do begin to have some activity here on the field. We do have activity down in the, is that the kids zone? Is that the official name for that area? That's what I've been calling it. But anyway, down on the Ferris wheel, I think we have again.
Or the merry-go-round.
Oh, the merry-go-round.
The merry-go-round. She was on the Ferris wheel once earlier this week.
Yeah, she was. I was thinking, why are we going back to the Ferris wheel? But she's on the merry-go-round this time, or the carousel, if you want to get. There she is.
Look, there she goes.
So, Ruth, you're having all the fun this week. What's going on out there?
You know what, you guys? I will find balloons that are flying no matter what the weather. So here we are, the merry-go-round is going, and I'm riding backwards, and I don't like it. Okay, no, seriously, this is fun. We have a lot of kids down here. There's a couple of other rides, so come on over and give it a try.
Outstanding. Leave it to Ruth to find a balloon somewhere and make a flight this morning. Well done, Ruth. Well done.
She's flying backwards, though. You notice that?
Well, but Ruth is multi-talented. She can handle it. Yeah.
She is. Hey, we just told you about the flight being canceled this morning, but the field open for static displays. Our balloon meister, Henry Rosenbaum, has come over to kind of confirm that for us.
Yeah, thank you, Art and Glenn, also. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but with the weather conditions, the ceiling, the moisture, the precip we've got in the area, it's just not the right conditions to allow the balloons to take off and do a free flight. We have opened the field, so if there's a balloon out there that would like to do a static display, you may see some of that, but that's strictly their decision. So, and we've given them the opportunity to do that up to about 9:30. We expect by that 9:30 time frame, we could have some more precip come into the area. So. But we want to give them the opportunity, and hopefully some folks are able to do that. And after this, I'd like to catch up with Ruth and go ride that.
Well, there you go.
Those rides over there. So
I think we should send the whole official team down there and do a ride.
Cool,
yeah, whether you want to go in circles or you want to go vertical circles on the Ferris wheel, you got all those options down there.
Then if we could just get it to spin real fast.
But again, we're sorry that we couldn't do our flight or even have the mass display of the balloons. It's just the weather's just not cooperating, and it's just not the right conditions.
Understand that as well. Oh, can you give us a little report on the balloons that got very wet last night? Are they managing to get those dry and everything's moving along?
They are, and I can report that we know of no damage to the balloons. Yes, they are wet, but they were put in their trailers or vehicles and so forth. And I've got to give a shout out to this community because there were folks that opened up some facilities last night.
After,
I mean, at 11 o'clock, we had balloons going to indoor facilities.
Right.
And a big shout out to the University of New Mexico football team and some of the facilities down there. So I know we had balloons in some of those facilities up till 3 o'clock this morning drying out. And as we speak, there's a list of number of other facilities where we're sending those balloons today.
Okay.
And so again, a huge shout out to the local community and all the folks that made that possible to open the doors and allow the balloonists to come in and dry those balloons out, because it's definitely needed. And you know, that's why we're here in Albuquerque. It's the flying condition, but it's also the community. Whether you're a business owner or have some connection to make that happen, we say thank you.
So they have stepped up, and when the word came out last night that the University of New Mexico was going to open those up, and a number of those balloonists took advantage of that. That is really great news, and I'm sure the pilots appreciated getting their balloon dry or drier. I guess even waiting till 2 and 3 o'clock this morning or spending all those hours, it didn't necessarily get things as dry as they would have liked.
Right. So yeah. So again, thank you for everything that y'all do, and we'll be back tonight. We still have another full set of activities scheduled for tonight.
And tomorrow morning.
And then tomorrow morning is our last mass ascension.
Are you going to pull the previously tradition of the Balloon Meister being the last one off the field tomorrow?
You know, I think it's a great tradition to do, but with today's times, I like to be on the ground when I'm in this position, because really it doesn't end until the last balloon is landed.
Down.
So
right.
I understand how that used to be the tradition in the past, but I'll save it to another day to do a flight as if I was doing a flight on the last day.
Well, there you go.
I like to hear you say that, because I've been to a number of events where the Balloon Meister is also a flying pilot, and at the events where I've Balloon Meistered, I've never done that, because I feel like you never know what could happen during the flight, and if I'm the Balloon Meister and I'm off in a balloon somewhere, I can't really coordinate whatever type of response might be needed to any situation that might arise. So kudos to you for taking that role on and staying on the ground where you can be involved.
Well, thank you very much.
Speaking of previous Balloon Meisters, you've had a number of them on the pilot briefing tower with you this morning. How did that go?
It went fantastic. You know, when we first thought about it, we said, what do we have them say? And, then we said, well, we'll give them a prescribed script. Let them read something. And we said, no, that's not coming from the heart. So let's give them a couple minutes to speak from the heart and sort of tell whatever they want to tell their story. You know, we all have a story in life, and they told their story about their experience here at Balloon Fiesta. And although they only spoke for about 2 minutes, if you can find those folks out here in the field or have the opportunity to speak with them, they have a longer story than the 2 minute that they told up on the briefing tower there. I learned a lot, and it's some things they'll never repeat again, but it's
some things they wanted to forget, I'm sure.
Correct.
Too.
Yep. But they brought them back up, and it was also interesting. You know, sort of the first person got to say something about other folks, but the last person got to say something about all the other folks. So, but yeah, if you get the opportunity to see those folks, you know, tell them thank you for what they brought before us. It allows us to be here today. And in the future, and they've still got more stories and experiences to share with everybody.
Well, and just think, in 50 years, you can be up there and sharing your stories of what it was like.
That's right.
Maybe we won't wait 50 years.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might not be back at the 100th, but I hope to be back at the 60 and 70 and so forth.
There you go.
So,
well, we had a couple of here last night who were married here this week, and I reminded them, I said, you realize now your 50th wedding anniversary will be the 100th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
That's true.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So we told them to put it on their calendar and make sure that they're going to be here then.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. I tell you what, if they're here, we'll give them free tickets.
Free tickets?
All right.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Henry. Thanks for all your work here at Balloon Fiesta.
Yep.
And coming up and keeping us informed, as well as our folks on the field and on the stream as well.
Okay. You're very welcome. Thank you all.
Thanks, Henry.
Thanks, Henry. Good to see you.
Henry Rosenbaum, our Balloon Meister here at the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Confirming for us that we have canceled flights, but the field is open
for
static
display.
And we may see some people pull their envelopes out. We've already seen people bring their baskets out, and we've continued to watch this candlestick show going on.
There's been a lot of that activity ever since we were pre-official this morning. So there's been a lot of candlestick activity down on the field, and so some pilots and spectators clearly having fun despite the spritzing rain. But as we heard Henry say, they have apparently a pretty good feeling that the rain is going to basically stay away now until about, I think he said 9 or 9:30.
9 or 9:30, so yeah.
So an opportunity for those who may want to pull their gear out, either to show it off in the static display or out of necessity, get it out and try and dry it. Certainly have that option.
There's some folks who are ready, prepared, and camped out for the morning.
Absolutely. Yeah, they look a little bit like the two of us sitting here bundled up in the weather and the spritz, as it were.
Well, so we're just getting a little bit of breeze popping up here this morning. Nothing major at all.
Just enough to disturb the covers on our gear.
Yep.
Here. Let's see if I can put that corner down under there. There we go.
While we're doing shout-outs here, would like to thank all of our members of our Windfire production team here.
Indeed.
They have set their cameras and all the other equipment up in the rain, very quickly got it out of the rain when we had to adjust our positions here as that rain came in, and just keeping us looking great and sounding great on the air, as they have for a number of years. And every time I say, hey, you know, we ought to try this, they say, yeah, let's go for it. So it is helping us make a great broadcast for you. We hope that you enjoy it, and we certainly appreciate working with Windfire Productions, Gary Williams, Stephen Williams, and the entire team. They go above and beyond to help us bring Balloon Fiesta Live to you. So thanks, guys and gals. Appreciate Windfire Productions.
Absolutely. They're an absolutely professional team to work with, and they make me, as Gary said yesterday, we had a bit of an off-camera conversation, but Gary was saying, you know, I can make you look real good or I can make you look real bad. And I said, well, Gary, I already do the latter, so you just take care of making me look real good.
Yeah, that's it.
Somebody asking here, Rick Bogner asking, what are next year's dates? Well, we have those dates on the new bumper sticker that was released yesterday, I think it was. And the dates, the Fiesta opens next year on October the 7th, which, as we've commented, is the latest time of October that it can open, because it's always the first Saturday in October, or the first Saturday after October the 1st. In this case, this year, October the 1st was a Saturday. So that's the earliest point in the calendar on which Balloon Fiesta can start. Next year is the latest that it can start. There's the bumper sticker on your screen if you're watching the live feed or the big video board here at Balloon Fiesta Park. The theme for next year, a view from above, and the dates are, I can't quite read them on. Oh, they're at the top. Thank you, October 7th. I was looking down at the bottom of the bumper sticker.
Because they're on the bumper sticker as well.
Yeah, I didn't see the tag there at the top. October 7th to the 15th are the dates for next year, so make plans to be here.
And those bumper stickers available here on the field at all of our information booths, at our official merchandise tents at the north and south end of the field. We probably have them at more locations as well, so if you can find an AIBF or an Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta facility, tent, etc. on the field, they should have those bumper stickers free for the taking. Please do take some, put them on your cars, your vehicles, out there where everyone can now know that next year's Balloon Fiesta starts on October 7th. And then you don't have to ask every day, when does it start? So that would be the way to help us put that out. If you are not here on the field or not in town, those bumper stickers will be available at balloonfiestastuff.com starting on Wednesday. That online store temporarily closed until we can get some, well, bottom line is it's closed because we couldn't handle all the volume. We apologize for that. One of those short staffing issues that everybody seems to be having around the country. But we will be back online on Wednesday at balloonfiestastuff.com, and those bumper stickers will be available for free at that location if you don't get a chance to pick it up here on the field. A little burner competition going on our screen.
Sorry, I'm just scrolling through and reading some of the comments here. Somebody said, what happened to Steve Tucker this year? He has not retired. He was here at the event. He was on our show. Ruth did an interview with Steve yesterday or day before.
He works for one of the local TV stations.
Right. Well, most people know him. He's the crazy guy in the big overcoat and the hat with all the pins on it. And he said that coat itself weighs about 25 pounds.
He must not have as many pins on it because in years past, that coat has been up about 40 pounds. But he used to put the pins on the back.
Right.
In addition to the front down his arm.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like wearing a coat of chainmail, for those of you that know what that is, referencing obviously.
That looks like local pilot Chris McCord.
And he's hooking up some cables, so it looks like we're going to see at least one balloon.
Yeah, but definitely hooking the
there's a job for some crew people. Give them a traffic cone hat and have them stand around your balloon. There are some certainly some interesting crew outfits there.
Yeah, and there's some cold air going into
the jack-o'-lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern,
the
yeah,
pumpkin.
the shaped one.
Yeah, the pumpkin shape, and they're probably trying to get that dried out.
I would think that's
from last
the game
night.
plan there. We talked about this quite a bit earlier. The idea here is that you go ahead and hook it up to the basket so it doesn't go anywhere, tie it off to the truck, and then literally you just turn on the fan and you blow dry it with the fan, so you're not putting any heat in there.
Right.
That would just kind of cook it as you would. That moisture would heat up and start boiling away.
It causes steam inside the balloon,
Yeah.
and it just makes a mess.
So we will continue to watch here for a little while on our feed, and we will continue to kind of chat about some things for just a little bit longer. On the field, our flights have been canceled. However, we are seeing some candlestick burns, more and more people setting up their baskets and putting the burner to use and giving us a little show. And again, I'm seeing a second balloon actually starting to inflate right north of the Sid Cutter Pilot Pavilion. So we'll see a few balloons stand up possibly, and we'll let you see those. And we'll continue to chat about it as we kind of move through the morning. Again, no flights to take place this morning, but we do have a full day of activities still scheduled here at Balloon Fiesta Park. At 11 o'clock this morning, it will be pin trading time. It's a pin trading day, and at our group tours tent on the far northeast corner of the field, it'll be a great day for you to be able to go pin trading. A lot of pins are set up there. You can put one on the board, take one off the board, trade with other collectors, show off your collection, be in awe of other folks' collection. That starts at 11 o'clock. The same time, our awards brunch presentation ceremony will take place for our pilots and our crew in the Sid Cutter Pilot Pavilion. At 1 o'clock, will be time for Music Fiesta to kick off. There is a Music Fiesta stage that is all the way out at the north end of the park. We can actually see the stages up and being prepared for Music Fiesta that starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon with Restless Road, followed at 2:30 by Lainey Wilson. And then our headliner, Cole Swindell, takes the stage at 4:30. Music Fiesta is a rain or shine event. So that is scheduled yet this afternoon. And then we do have our activities still scheduled for tonight with parachute jumps, our drone show, our balloon glow, our fireworks for the last evening of Balloon Fiesta, the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. And then tomorrow morning, gosh, it seems like we just got started and already we're at the end. But tomorrow morning, our farewell mass ascension, preceded by a Dawn Patrol show and a Krispy Kreme glow. And of course, our new aerial drone show, scheduled also for tonight at 7:45 and tomorrow morning at 5:45. So 2 more opportunities to see the drone show live here at Balloon Fiesta Park. For those watching you online, you'll be able to see it tonight at 7:45. And of course, we have recorded the drone show, and you can watch it online, so you can go back and watch it over and over again. In fact, all of our Balloon Fiesta live shows are on balloonfiesta.com. Just navigate to the Balloon Fiesta live page. If you ever need something to go to sleep by, there are more than 200 hours of Balloon Fiesta live coverage available for you to watch, going back now 6 years that we've been doing this broadcast. So you can always go back and enjoy those. couple of our balloons are standing up. That looks like Steve coughing with the Isleta Resort and Casino banner. Got the jack-o'-lantern all the way out on the north end is now standing up. Others are putting cold air into their balloon. Our burners keep going. No flights, but we are definitely putting a little bit of display on this morning as well. So we mentioned that today is Exxon Mobil Day. Exxon Mobil Day here at Balloon Fiesta Park. And of course, Exxon Mobil, our new presenting sponsor. So that's why we call this the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, powered by Exxon Mobil. And the folks from Exxon Mobil are joining us here on our rooftop studio this morning. Good morning, folks. How we doing?
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you have to kind of point the microphone back and forth there.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you bet. So tell us who you are, and let's talk a little bit about Exxon Mobil's participation in Balloon Fiesta.
Sure, thanks. And thanks for having us. So I'm Lee Dula. I represent Exxon Mobil here in New Mexico as their government relations manager, also their public affairs manager. And just wanted to take this opportunity to thank the staff of Balloon Fiesta, rain or shine, just the professionalism, the volunteers. I mean, it's just a tremendous week. If you haven't been here, you need to come. And today is, as you referenced, it's a Exxon Mobil Employee Day. And so I'd like to thank all of our staff who made the drive from Carlsbad. Obviously, the morning didn't pan out the way perhaps that they had hoped. But we also wanted to use the opportunity to bring some of our partners from Carlsbad here this morning. And so from the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, this is Jill.
Good morning. As he mentioned, I'm Jill Barkley. I'm with the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce. I'm the tourism director there. And we do partner with XTO, which is an ExxonMobil subsidiary. So we're here to promote Carlsbad. The Carlsbad Caverns is celebrating their 100-year anniversary.
Wow.
They were the first national park in the state of New Mexico. And so next year is their 100-year anniversary. And although we don't have the details yet, we work closely with the superintendent at the caves, who's told us that they will have a year-long celebration leading up to the actual anniversary date of October 25th.
Nice.
So it's a great time to come out and visit the cave for the first time, or if you haven't been in a long time, it's a great time to come out.
Back.
Yes.
What's it been like to have Exxon Mobil XTO in Carlsbad these past few years?
It has been wonderful, and they are a great community partner. One of our signature events in Carlsbad is Christmas on the Pecos.
Right.
We're in our 31st year with that. Again, XTO is our title sponsor for that event. So they've just been wonderful, even coming up to Balloon Fiesta. Carlsbad Chamber typically comes and works in the New Mexico True bus.
Oh, sure.
But we thought this year we'd have our own booth all week long. So we reached out to our partner, XTO, who was very generous in assisting us and coming up here and allowing us to be here the whole week so we could celebrate the Cave Centennial next year.
Excellent, excellent. So what has it been, what it's been like for Exxon Mobil to get involved in the community, Carlsbad, and then the next question is going to be about being involved with Balloon Fiesta.
Sure, it's been tremendous. So this is my second year here at Fiesta. It's a great opportunity to bring our staff and our leadership, many of whom live and work in that southeast part of the state, get them up here to Albuquerque. It lets us connect with leaders from Santa Fe, from the Albuquerque area, host community organizations here in our tent, and just let people know that we have a large and growing presence here in New Mexico. We love doing business here, and we hope to be here for many years to come.
Any reason Balloon Fiesta? Because there's many avenues you could have taken. Why Balloon Fiesta?
Well, I have to give recognition here to former Bernalillo County Commissioner Dina Archuleta. And Dina said, you know what, we need to be in this space. And so Dina works for Exxon Mobil now, and she made that recommendation, and it's really delivered year after year. So if she's listening at home, I'd like to say great job, Dina. And I do want to double back just for a second, because what I heard from Jill is that you need to clear your schedules for December for Christmas in the Pecos.
Yes.
In Carlsbad, and then next year, when you come to the 51st annual Albuquerque Balloon Fiesta, then you point your RV south, and you head to Carlsbad Caverns.
Just put it on the map.
100th year anniversary.
That's it. Just put it on the map and make that tour loop through Balloon Fiesta, then down to Carlsbad, and just just come and stay.
Absolutely. We have great things in Carlsbad. We would invite everyone here to come visit our booth. We have some really cool flashing bat pins, and I actually brought a couple for you.
Oh, great.
Let's give this to you.
Excellent.
Possibly one of the greatest pins here at Fiesta.
Oh, yeah.
They're very popular pins, flashing bat pins, because obviously we're known for our bats at the Carlsbad Caverns.
Yeah, they light up. Those are pretty darn cool. Those are pretty darn cool here. Yep, with the lights going on and off here, and so some great stuff. We'll have to dig out some Balloon Fiesta Live pins for you guys before you get off the set here.
Great, sounds
as
good.
well, because that's what it's all about. It's all about having fun and trading back and forth and things like that. So
it's really about community, and we're
Yeah.
really pleased to be a part of this, and thank you all for welcoming us in to be a part of your balloon community.
Well, we certainly appreciate the whole process from XTO onto Exxon Mobil. You guys have been sponsoring Balloon Fiesta Live for a couple of years, and now adding to that sponsorship and bringing into the fold not only our sponsor hospitality group, but the entire Balloon Fiesta as well.
Thanks for letting me do this and participate. My wife says I have a face for radio, so thank you.
Well, you joined Glen and I. We've talked multiple times about having that face for radio. That's why we put our cameras on the balloons for most of the time we're up here, and so we can just kind of talk as we go through.
Well, again, thanks for having us. It's been a great week. It's been a tremendous experience for Carlsbad to come out and share all the things that Carlsbad has to offer. So just thanks for having us.
You betcha. We'll be down and see you in Carlsbad, and thanks again to Exxon Mobil for joining us here at Balloon Fiesta.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, folks. Exxon Mobil Day here at Balloon Fiesta, and some information about Carlsbad, New Mexico, where a lot of the organization is set up, and of course the 100th anniversary of Carlsbad National Caverns. So while we continue to watch some balloons stand up on the field, whether they're for a static display, drying out their balloons, or just putting on a little show for us as well, Ruth Lind continues to wander the field and find us some interesting folks. So Ruth, you're on.
I love this. We caught up with a couple pilots doing a flicker burn, and it turns out they are husband and wife, Rachel Zimmer and Jesse Zimmer from Rio Rancho. They're each here with their own balloon, as you can see. Now, I want to know, did one of you teach the other to fly?
I taught Jesse, my husband, how to fly.
I love that. How long have you been a pilot, Rachel?
I started flying in 2015. I got my pilot certificate in 2016.
And then your commercial?
In 2017.
Wow. And how about you, Jesse? How long did it take you to catch the bug?
It took me a little bit longer. I got mine in 2015 the same time, but waiting around, we focused on her skills first and then came to me.
This is cool. So do either one of you fly Top Gun competition out here?
No, I don't do Top Gun.
No, not yet. I'm going to start soon.
Cool. Well, Steve Mezzanchello, who's a big guy in Top Gun, he has just done such a number of amazing things with that program, and it's cool. Now, I know people are going to be curious. What are the dynamics between the two of you when it comes to your piloting decisions and your marriage coming together?
Well, it was interesting teaching him how to fly, but we did a good job, and we fly differently, we make different decisions, but we always make sure the balloons go into the trailer and out of the trailer the same, so it doesn't matter who flies next, everything is the same, and then we just go from there.
In what way are your flying styles different, Jesse?
So she's got definitely more hours and experience, so she will come and coach me sometimes. Sometimes it will end up being a little challenging, but in the end, we have each other's best interest at heart. So
that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Balloon Fiesta Live. We're going to send it back up to the stage so you guys can look at some balloons inflating down here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ruth. We're in sync again.
I'm telling you, this is getting a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So that's Steve coughing with the Isleta Resort and Casino banner, and that was going to be either Ryan or Al Lowenstein with the blue one and the yellow sunrise. They have 2 balloons that are identical, and they each fly one, and I'm not sure who's flying that one or who stood that one up.
Where have I heard that story before?
Well, with the Bears, Ray and David Bear.
And the Hartzels, Joe and Lucas and Rhett.
Who actually went to not 2 balloons that look alike, but 3. Yep.
Yeah.
And we've seen their old balloons, as I could say, because we understand and have seen pictures of some new balloons.
Yeah, they do have new ones that all look
alike. Different. At least they look different from these.
Well, yes, but
they're all new again. And
so when one's flying something new and one's flying something old, and something blue and something borrowed, all that stuff. Anyway, yeah, it's you can tell them apart, but when they're all in the
same model,
the same of balloons that all look alike, then it's hard to tell who's flying which balloon. And despite my protestations, Joe has never seen fit to add some sort of distinguishing
feature
mark
to
or
it,
ID or feature to each of the like a different. Like I was talking with Lisa Kempner, who at Lindstrom, who built their new balloons, and they said, well, one could have had a red scoop, one could have had a blue scoop, one could have had a white or a silver scoop, or
could have done something a little bit.
It could have been a couple of simple little nominal changes to the design to separate the balloons apart, but. Yeah, but they didn't.
They did.
And sometimes, they fly, sometimes Joe flies the one with the silver outline on the stars in their old fleet. And sometimes, Lucas or Rhett will fly that. Even though they have, they don't always fly the same balloon. So even if they did have them, I guess, distinguishable from each other in some fashion.
You still might not know.
You still might not know who was in which.
Well, we kind of have that as well. You've heard me talk about Peter Cuneo and Barbara Fricke. They've been flying their brand new Roadrunner Coyote balloon here this week that they debuted at the Coronado tribute flight that we did a week ago yesterday on Friday, honoring those original 13. The 2 balloons that we do fly the rest of the year before they built the Coyote Roadrunner are almost identical as well, especially from the ground when you're looking up at them. There is a difference in the top. One of the balloons has a red top, while the other one has the continuation of the blue and yellow that goes around.
Okay.
But the distinguishing factor from the bottom, from looking up at them, is, like you talked about, the skirt. One is yellow, one is blue.
Right.
Many times we will have both of those in the air at the same time, and their names are very similar. So it's Sandia Sunlight and Sandia Sunrise.
Okay.
So even the pilot and the crew get confused as to which balloon is which. So many times it's yellow skirt, blue skirt, and that's how we identify from the ground to the balloon back and forth as to which one we're trying to talk to.
Well, the ultimate story of confusion like that I can tell is from back in the early 1990s, probably 91, 92, when Remax decided to have a balloon event at their international headquarters up in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, I can see where this is going.
Yeah, well, okay, so there were, the Remax balloons all look exactly alike. The pattern is determined by corporate. They're red, white, blue. They have the Remax logo in the center. The only thing that changes is the size. One might be a 105, one might be a 77, might even be a cloud hopper, but they all look exactly alike. So Remax had this big balloon event, and they invited, there were like 50 Remax balloons there, and we did a flight one day with just the Remax balloons. It was for a photo project they were working on. I had the great fortune to fly with Richard Phillip, who is the director of Remax Texas. And so what they tried to do not only did we all fly balloons that looked alike, they gave us all chase trucks. They provided chase trucks to all of the crews, which were the little, remember the little, was it a Subaru Brat, I think, a little mini truck?
Yeah.
They gave us all one of those to chase with.
So the vehicles were the same.
The vehicles were virtually the same. And then they gave everybody radios all on the same frequency. So the way they tried to distinguish this was each pilot was given some crepe paper streamers. Like one balloon might be 3 red, 1 blue. Another one might be 2 green, 2 yellow.
Oh, no.
And the idea was, you would let these streamers hang over the side as you were in the air, and that's how the chase crew could follow you. Folks, once you're 50 feet in the air, you can't tell one color streamer
No.
from another.
Nope, not that.
And so there's this glob of 50 Remax balloons all flying together. And we all eventually landed, and it was so funny because Richard and I landed in kind of a dry arroyo, and you know, a chase crew a truck would come zooming up toward us, and you could see them running up toward us, and they would get just close enough that they could then go, oh no, that's not our guys, and they'd turn around and go away. And so eventually the call came out on the radio that instructed the chase trucks. They said, if you find a balloon, pick them up, bring them back. We'll sort it out here at the balloon field. But there were some amazing pictures. The other thing that was funny from that flight, we were flying up near, I forget the name of it, but there's a reservoir up just outside of the outskirts of Denver. And so they had a helicopter camera ship that was flying in amongst and around the group of balloons. They wanted us all to stay together as a battalion, a patrol, whatever all those words were we came up with the other day. So they wanted us all to stay together as one big group so the helicopter could do a flight around us and get these great images. Well, you know pilots in water. It's called a splash and dash. So we were all instructed, stay at this altitude until you get you're all clear from the camera ship. Then you can go do whatever you want. Well, it wasn't 10 seconds before we were in the air, and as soon as we got to that reservoir, about half the balloons dived down to the water to do splash and dashes, forgetting all about the instructions to stay together. It became one huge cluster, and so it was, but it was an amazing flight and an amazing event. Remax, the food was incredible. They gave T-shirts to all the crew people. At every flight, there was a different color T-shirt for the crews. Wow. I mean, they really did it up well and treated everybody wonderfully. One of my favorite memories of ballooning. And what they did is they were creating a coffee table book that for a couple of years there, if you bought a home from a Remax realtor, typically they gave you this book as a gift as a new homeowner. And so we all got copies of the book. And it's a beautiful, incredibly beautiful book. And there's a couple of centerpiece pictures from that flight, which are just amazing. But yeah, one of my great memories that I've made in my career in ballooning was being able to take part in that flight. And my thanks to Richard Phillip with Remax Texas for making that happen. It was quite an event, but 50 odd balloons all in the sky that all looked identical, and the chase crews kind of go, oh, I'm following that one.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of our official chase crew pin and design that we have on T-shirts this year. And so here's the chase crew, and which balloon are you chasing? And they point, the red, white, and blue one. And of course, there's 4 or 5 on the pin itself.
Oh, that are red, white, and blue.
That are all red, white, and blue. So so we've recognized that with not on the scale of 50, but our chase crew pin represents that.
Usually, the answer to that, which one are you chasing? Oh, I'm chasing that multicolored one over there.
Yeah,
you know, it's the dreaded multicolored balloon. Who here doesn't have a multicolored balloon? Now, I know there's orange.
There's a few.
There's the orange balloon out there that's all orange. There's a few. But by and large, every balloon ever made is a multicolored balloon. And when you say, somebody says, or if there was a landowner relations issue or something, and they say, well, which balloon was it? Well,
it was that big round one.
It was that big round multicolored one. Okay.
Yeah.
That helps a lot.
Yeah, at least nowadays, everyone has a camera with them and a cell phone, and many times
somebody will have a picture. Either good or bad.
Right, they can say, exactly.
Captured.
Yeah,
right.
They can talk about it's that big round one, and I think it was blue and green. But here's what it looked like.
Right, exactly.
So, hey, I did check. That is Al Lowenstein with the blue one. In fact, it's the one on the right side of the screen. As we click off of it, it has the Sandia Casino Resort banner on it. Next to him, Steve Coffey with the Isleta Resort and Casino banner.
Okay.
So our 2 north and south casinos standing up next to each other.
Well, and my cousins, Steve and Patty, were they stayed at the Isleta Casino and hotel.
In fact, that's Al in the basket right there.
When they were here for Balloon Fiesta.
So Isleta stepped up and provided a number of rooms for us for our pilots as well.
Well, they also sponsor the safety pylons, if I remember right.
They do.
They have their logo on those 75-foot tall red and white pylons that are located at the 4 corners of the park. We haven't talked about them today because we haven't been doing any flying in competition. but they are a visual signpost, if you will, for the pilots of 75 feet high, because by rule, when you fly into Fiesta Park on a competition day, you have to be at least 75 feet above the crowd until you're in the scoring area, at which point then you can drop down to the deck if you'd like. And so those big red, white, and white pylons at each corner of the field are safety devices for our pilots, and they are sponsored by Isleta. Although I don't see them, they may not be up this morning. I'm not sure that I'm looking around to the northwest, and I don't see
because
them.
there's no flights coming in. There
probably no
would not
reason
be a
for
need
them.
for them to
Well,
be
that
up.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And of course, the other one we've been talking about, Sandia Resort and Casino, the sponsor of our new drone show.
Yes.
That we saw again this morning at 5:45.
Got a behind-the-scenes glimpse of how that was all done, thanks to Ruth.
So we're just kind of hanging out and watching some balloons stand up and some burners go, and giving folks an opportunity to kind of see what is happening here on the field, which is just that, a few balloons standing up, people getting some great pictures, getting a chance to see a balloon up close and personal, getting a chance to talk about some of our fabulous sponsors, our pilots and the balloons, giving folks an opportunity to do shopping here on the field.
Yeah, I was going to say another great day to do a lot of shopping if you haven't done that yet, because all the vendors are open and would be happy to see you.
Don't forget our chainsaw carvers are out there on the north end of the field, as well as our artisans tent, our Balloon Discovery Center, ways for you to be able to check out some just great information and different things to do and see. Along Main Street today at 8:30, the Mariachi Tenampa would be out there on the Main Street, as well as the National Institute of Flamenco and Emergence Productions. And at 9 o'clock, the 44th Army Band, who performed our national anthem this morning, they'll be on the Main Street stage. And then, of course, we already talked about the Balloon Fiesta pin trading event taking place in group tours starting at 11. At 1 o'clock, it's the Music Fiesta with Restless Road. At 2:30, Lainey Wilson. At 4 o'clock, Cole Swindell. And then we're back for our evening activities tonight as well. Brandon Seiss will be on our Main Street stage after our activities later tonight. So a full day of activities here at Balloon Fiesta Park.
You know, it just occurred to me, I have not been down on Main Street yet this year.
Whoops.
Yeah, haven't had a chance to do it. I saw the Tiny Tom Donuts place go by as we were looking at that video, and I noticed, I think, did I see one of the trams from the Sandia Tramway down there on display?
Yes,
that's always one of the fun things to do. We used, in the early days, we'd come to Fiesta, we'd get a group of balloonists on there, and you know, as you go over each of the crossings, each of the pole sets,
the two towers.
Yeah, the towers, the tram kind of swings, and we'd be in the back of the tram or the front, and we'd go, ooh, ah, oh, uh-oh. You know, just as you caught that little bit of a swing, there it is on the screen.
Yeah, this is one of the previous cars from up there. They replaced the cars up there a few years ago.
Okay.
This is one of the previous ones. We now, as you can see, use it as an information booth or an event information booth.
Okay.
So that'd be
that's
one
why
of
it's
those.
there.
Yeah, that'd be one of those spots where you can pick up one of those free bumper stickers for 2023.
Well, that's a great recycling use of those cars. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I haven't, but the last time I was up there was, gosh, it's been several years ago now. My niece Courtney King was here with me. Spent a few days at Balloon Fiesta, and so we took her to dinner up on the peak and rode the tramway, and that was a lot of fun. My cousins, Patty and Steve, when they were here earlier this week, that was one of the highlights of their trip, was they did make a trip up the Sandia Tramway as well. So something fun to do if you're here for more than just the day at Balloon Fiesta.
And they upgraded the restaurant at the top of the peak up there. It's now called 10-3 because the peak of the mountain is 10,300 feet.
Used to be what? I think it was High Finance.
High Finance.
Back in the day, last time I was up there, but it's been a few years. I need to go back.
There's the Rio Grande, or the Rio Grande Down Syndrome Network balloon. standing up and again, opportunity to be on TV and on Balloon Fiesta Live.
Absolutely. And if need be, to dry the balloon slightly, but I don't think they were up last night.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been
Not
up last night.
being in special shape,
So,
they shouldn't be wet.
Shouldn't be.
Unless they happen to land in a particularly damp area or something, perhaps. But,
or they didn't get the envelope bag covered in the back of the truck, and they happened to be here.
I love
Tony Polito has the Rio Grande Down Syndrome Network balloon up.
Again, I love some of the comments from our audience. Just this comment in the Facebook group. Apparently, someone was bemoaning that balloons haven't flown this year, and someone else says, I'm not going to call out names, but says, incorrect. Balloons flew Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
There you go.
And here's the kicker. Put some positive creamer in your coffee. Thank you for that. I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. It does say I can see more. Yeah, it says, put some positive creamer in your coffee and buy a 50th Balloon Fiesta program. It's incredible. And it is. You're absolutely right. But I like that. Put some positive creamer in your coffee. Come on. Come on, man. You know how
there you go.
Monday Night Football does that. I'm kind of feeling the same. Come on, man.
I'm seeing someone saying that they watched the launches from the granny lot. And I thought, and then I remembered
What's the granny lot?
Yeah, we have renamed all of our parking lots here at Balloon Fiesta.
Oh, that's right.
Early in the
because they have barcodes for each one now.
QR codes that'll help you get back to them.
And an identifier, yeah.
As part of the continuing partnership with the Chuck Jones Center for Creativity, Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes, etc., all of our parking lots that kind of had these obscure names in the past now have character names. So there is an Elmer Fudd lot, there is a Granny lot, there is a Tweety lot, there is a Roadrunner lot, there is a Coyote lot.
Marvin the Martian has his own parking lot
as well. So the idea is to kind of help you remember where you parked your car. Because what happens is you get here and it is very dark and you park, and you may or may not be awake enough to remember, and then trying to find your car in the daylight, or in the evening, it's the reverse. You parked it in the daylight, I'm going to remember this, and it looks totally different at the end of the night when it's dark.
That's right.
So we named those. We got permission to do that, so they now have towers and banners with all those names. And yes, if you did not mark that location on your phone, drop a pin type of thing, you can find any of our volunteers and navigators. They literally have a card with all of those QR codes on it. You can say, I parked in the Tweety lot, and they'll let you scan the Tweety lot QR code, and that'll give you directions back to the
That's right.
where your car might be parked.
We're not using those lots, but we do have. I have one of those
you have
cards
one of those
right
cards.
here. Yeah, you can just scan that little code and
go to any one of the parking lots you might like to.
Exactly. So yeah, we can take a tour of parking lots. Hey, over on the far west side of the field, talking about special shapes getting dry, there is one of the shapes we've talked quite a bit about actually this week, and that is it Cork the puppy?
Cork the puppy.
Yep.
I never realized there was a paw on the top of that.
Oh,
I've always seen the balloon standing up, but I've never seen the top.
Yeah.
We're looking from the bottom side at this, but we'll
there
flip it around, and
there's the parachute top. There's the puppy paw on top.
I never knew that was there. So we'll get the, and of course, where they're inflating it over basically on the very edge, they found a more dry spot of the park. Actually, it might even be on the road over there, as they, one of the balloons that was standing up last night that got wet in that really surprising pop-up,
you know,
pop-up shower that came up. What is?
We've talked about doing some shopping.
Yes.
And we've talked about how you can find almost anything over on Main Street.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know the story behind all of this. They just kind of showed up. But this is Spoon Man Creations.
Okay.
And when I saw the weird headgear, I thought, why not? Let's have them on the feed.
Okay.
And I guess he's brought one for each of us. Do you want the jaggy one or the smooth one?
I'll take the smooth one.
Okay, I'll take the jaggy one.
Okay.
I don't know if.
Whoa, these are pretty substantial.
That is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can come to the set camera real quickly. And
there they are.
Oh, now we can use those. Yeah, see?
Oh, yeah. And
so, So now
hey, do you use the fork or the spoon?
Well, you can use either one.
There
Or
you go,
can,
all in one.
You can twirl it. Grab that microphone right there. Let's just find out. So first of all, tell us who you are and what the heck are these things? Hold the mic right up.
My name's Eric Hunt. We're from Oregon.
Okay.
And first time here selling at the Balloon Fiesta. Heard about it for a long time and decided to come down and sell them. We make all kinds of things out of silverware, but we also do these funny headgear as a joke. We have about 40 different ones. I brought you two of our most popular there. So.
I can see a Halloween costume coming, based off of this.
You both look sharp.
Oh goodness. Okay,
I'm a little more smooth than he is, though.
Yeah, we're in booth 102, and I just thought you guys needed some of these on there.
I live on the edge, buddy. I live on the edge. Whoa. I'm going to cut myself here.
Oh,
yeah.
It won't go. It can't fit behind the headset, so I've got it in front.
Yeah.
There we go.
We got to do a little light in the mood with the rain, So. Yeah.
Hey, I love this. So this is what gave you the idea to start this kind of a
My dad
business?
started our business about 50 years ago, and making spoon rings, and we have those here too. People have been buying those, and we've just turned it into a lot of different things out of silverware, and then funny stuff too.
So when a couple go out to go spooning, they can
That's
have
right.
their own little ring, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But
and we have handles at our booth. You can choose one, and we make the ring right in front of you too.
Oh, wow! Oh,
yep.
cool!
Wow.
All right, so you can have a custom-made spoon
Custom
ring.
made.
First year here, how's it been?
First year. My nephew did the Fiesta with our stuff about 7 years ago, but in a very smaller version in the tent. We're out on the walkway this time.
Gotcha.
And it's been good. Obviously, would rather it be less rainy, but you can't control weather. We get that.
Yeah,
That's it. That's it.
Well,
Yeah.
you can just chop away some clouds there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. We can just
You guys
slice
got all the
through.
jokes. You should work in my booth for a while.
There we go. Yeah, hey, well, listen, I'm always open for a freelance gig. And witness what I've been doing here for 30-some-odd years.
But you guys have fun with those, and like I said, you look sharp. And
well, thanks for
All
coming
right,
up.
thanks for
Greg.
coming
I
by.
appreciate
Yep.
it.
So,
have a great day.
All right.
All right.
That's the Spoon Man is the name of the booth and the company, but obviously they do more than spoons. Yeah, living on the edge here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Okay, so here's some rain
Look at
pictures
this.
from last night.
That's the
that got
storm
posted.
as it moved overhead. And yes, we were firing
The fireworks off
in
to
the
get them
rain.
off. Look at that moving through. And look how
And
localized that is.
Exactly. It's almost like a tornado. It's just a little bitty area compressed with pouring rain and nowhere else. That's amazing video. Stu Ostro provided us with that video. Shot it on Twitter, I think they said.
They posted up on
Posted
Twitter.
up on Twitter.
Yeah.
That is amazing
That
video.
really is.
Wow. So I'm gonna go sharpen my intellect for a moment, and we're gonna pitch down to Ruth for another interview from the field. Ruth, take it away.
Well, if you're going to sharpen your intellect, Glenn, these guys are sharpening their chainsaws. I'm with Jason Emmons from Bear Hollow. He's originally from French Lick, Indiana. That's where the business is. But they're always here at Balloon Fiesta, and there's always really cool stuff. Jason, what are the highlights from this week so far?
I'll tell you what, well, it's not been the weather, but what we can do with that. The highlights have been just the happy faces, like it always is here every year. We do about 250 show dates in about 22 states nationwide, and this is by far our favorite. It's just an uplifting event, no pun intended, right? But a lot of smiling faces, a lot of pats in the back, a lot of claps, and we've had a few auctions out here, and the auctions have been doing really well. Folks have been coming out. We've got one more today at 10 a.m., so not far off. We're getting ready for that. We've got plenty of tents to get out of the rain. So yeah, it's just been good. A lot of support, like always, coming to the Balloon Fiesta.
What impact has the rain had on your business this year?
I tell you, it's not been horrible, in other words. Folks still come out. They still support us. Even though the balloons are not going up, we still are chainsaw carving. The crowds are still gathering. Sales have been good. They've been good. So yeah, I really can't say that it's been down at any point for us. We've been doing pretty well here.
That's wonderful. I saw early in the week before we started all the truckloads of logs that you were bringing in. What are they? What are you carving with? What's your wood?
Yeah, we brought in a semi-load of logs. It's all ponderosa pine, and it was harvested about 40 miles west of here. And then we also brought in some slabs. Those are what the benches are made out of, and they're also ponderosa pine, and they came out of Colorado. Ponderosa pine does really well for carving. It holds up really well over time. It's just when we get to different areas of the country, we carve the wood that's native to that area. And fortunately, you have some great wood in ponderosa pine here to carve.
That's wonderful. And before we let you go, I have been looking over your shoulder at this poster over here. Oh my gosh. I tell you what, you guys should have your own calendar. Tom's going to show us this poster, and yeah, I'd buy that. All you need is some puppies. Glen, Art, we're going to send it back up to you on the stage.
All right. Thanks, Ruth. Yeah, that's an interesting poster, I suppose. Maybe there'll be a chainsaw carving calendar to come. You know, there's a new project for you, Art.
There you go.
Yeah.
We could put videos of them actually doing some chainsaw carving out there. They, of course, are way out there on the north end, the little pointy tents that are out there. And as they said, they have a auction of some of their most recent carvings.
They do.
That will take place in just about 90 minutes at 10 o'clock.
You can probably also, if you're really adventurous, talk to one or two of them about doing something custom, something bespoke for you. I actually had one of the carvers do a wall plaque for me that's in my office to this day. They took my Coyote Moon balloon pen at the time and carved that onto a great big plank of wood that now hangs in my office at home as a reminder of the fun times I've had down there at the chainsaw carving area. But some of their work is really incredible, from tabletop, bookshelf type size items all the way up to huge benches and garden statues and things of that nature. So that's another one of those things that a lot of people miss when they come to Balloon Fiesta, but they definitely are worth a visit down to the chainsaw carving exhibit. And again, as Art said, that's all the way down to the north end of the field under those little pointy tents. So yeah, something for you to do. So we're going to, Art is going to step away for a minute to chat with our officials who are, in fact, still meeting indoors just to our right, and get an update on what else might be happening through the morning. He and I both have a previous engagement at 11 o'clock this morning. We will be, assuming that is still on as scheduled, and I would assume that it is, Art and I will be hosting the awards banquet, where we'll be crowning the new champion for Balloon Fiesta as a result of the cumulative scoring during our competition days that we had this week. We'll be awarding those $2,000 checks to those who were lucky enough to ring a poll. All of that sort of stuff will be going on. And I don't know if our crack camera team can get it, but guys, if you look out on the field, there's like a mass exodus or just almost an immigration across the field from west to east. Now that Cork the Puppy is up on the far west side of the field, they're just drying the balloon out, but you can see people from all the way over on Main Street, everybody now just kind of walking all the way across the field, and there's a giant crowd. There you are. See that migration of people across the field, and if you pan a little further left or get a different camera shot, you'll see a huge crowd having gathered around the one special shape that's standing up this morning, and that is Cork the Puppy, who also has a mini-me. He has a radio-controlled version. There they are, and that shot doesn't really do justice to the size of the crowd from up here on the stage. It really looks impressive, but Art, you can see there's just a migration of people walking all the way across the field to go over and get a close-up look at Cork the Puppy, which is the one special shape, I think, as I look around, the one and only special shape at the moment that's standing up. He's drawing quite a crowd over there.
It is, and so that's a good opportunity to go out and check those out. They are telling pilots that if you are not already standing up, you probably don't want to start standing up now.
Okay.
They're going to ask, I think, the pilots to be down probably within the next half hour or so. We talked about it being 9 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and see if we can kind of keep with you till 9 o'clock. We may see what happens here, and we'll just kind of continue to talk about some things that are happening, remind you, so that we can be kind of entertaining. We have a lot of you still watching us online, So if you'll stick with us, we'll stick with you and attempt to be entertaining and informative about what is happening here at Balloon Fiesta and bring you some different information about the different things. We've had a great week of competition. I don't know if we can queue up, we have the boat competition video that we can show you from Tuesday in case you missed that. The Sid Cutter Memorial, where, we had the competition where the idea is to launch from more than a mile away and then fly your balloon back into the field. And when you get into the field, throw your marker and land it on the boat. And literally that is the best score on the bow of the boat. You can also be in the boat. That is going to be pretty good. Here's the first competitor that came through, Mark Fritzy. And so he had a very nice line, and you'll see that he comes in and he just throws that marker right into the boat. There's the USS Sid Cutter. This is all based on an event, the World Championships, that Sid, they had a task, and there's a whole story there, and I never get it all right. But there was his marker in the boat, and there's the bow, and there's the X that they actually measure too. So a perfect score is not 0. It's the distance from the center of the X to the bow of the boat.
Right.
Now, this was Zarek Wells, the defending champion of the Balloon Fiesta. He came down the other side of the boat, and in just a second, he's going to throw. It hit the bow of the boat
and bounced off.
Now, they tell me, that he actually was trying for inside the boat, was going to take a little safer one, but he kind of overthrew it just a little bit.
Oh.
So it bounced off, and so that's like going into the water. So they measure from the center of the X, but they add 300 feet to that distance. Now this is Mark Sullivan coming in his red code racer. He has that same line that we saw with Mark Fritzy, and you see there's the tail unfurled. He kind of just wads it up so that when he throws it,
you see how it unfurled, right. We were talking about that earlier.
And the tail goes over the side, which doesn't matter because they measure to the weighted part of the baggie. And this was me explaining that while we were down there. You see, we get the opportunity to be in the competition field during competition and take a camera right there. And you see Mark was about 10 inches closer than the other Mark was. And then this is Joe Zavada. He was coming in. That big square on the right that was underneath him, that was kind of a landmass. You could throw your marker there.
That was a cheap and easy score there.
It was, but they still measured to the center of the X,
right.
And you see how far away it was. So Joe was far enough off that he had to do this wind-up throw, and he was just shy of the boat. We're going to get around the side of the boat here, and you'll see that
so
just
close
shy. It actually bounced underneath the boat because it's kind of on a platform there.
Right.
So almost like a pallet. And so the marker actually bounced underneath. If it had been in the boat, he would have won that competition.
Susan, I'm looking here at Susan Collins confirming Ruth's opinion of the poster down at the chainsaw carver. Susan says, now we know it's worthwhile just to go for the hot chainsaw carver guys. Okay, well, come on down. So whatever gets you here, you know?
That's that's it. So I see some, looks like some pilots are actually setting up their easy ups, their little tent covering types of things, planning on making it a day here at Balloon Fiesta.
Well, they may be, doing like we're going to have to do, hanging around until 11 o'clock for the award ceremony. So,
and pin trading.
And might as well, pin trading.
And music fiesta.
Yeah, okay. Might as well be doing that, and staying dry just in case. So they're probably putting up those easy up pop-up tents in order to provide themselves some cover for tailgating just in case it's needed.
Well, that's also gets out of habit. If it's sunny, you can put it up to prevent from the sun.
That's true.
And so it's just part of the tailgating routine. You back the trucks up and you unload the coolers and the pop-ups, the easy-ups, and you set them all up and you get out the chairs. Actually, look on the right side of the gray truck between the white and the kind of gray truck.
Yeah.
That looks like a grill. Do you think that's a barbecue grill? They're going to do a little cooking out there?
Where are you? Which area now?
Oh, no, you know what? It's the mirror. But what's this back here?
It's probably a folding chair. That would be my guess.
Yeah, at one glance it looked like a barbecue grill.
Yeah, well, there might be a grill or two out there.
Well, I know
our
crew was going to bring their walks out this morning and do a nice big tailgate this morning.
Okay.
I think they've moved the location to a different place other than the field here this morning, so that they could actually get inside a house.
But I think in that particular instance, I think that was perhaps just a folding chair, but. We'll never know because they didn't invite us to the tailgate party. So there.
Although I've been known to take the golf cart out there and crash a few tailgate parties.
I have done the same myself.
Sometimes that's the only way we get to see and reunite with the pilots.
Sometimes that's the only way we get invited. We invite ourselves. Don't mind us. Just going to drop in at your party here.
Yep, that's it. I've seen a number of people actually do that. Just kind of wander around and walk up, and you never know who you're going to run into at one of those tailgates because so many, they get 5, 6, 7 crews all together.
Right, they all join together.
Yeah.
And truth be told, I've never been turned away from a tailgate, and if I've shown up just on the cuff, I've always been invited to join in and to have whatever it is they might be dining or drinking, and so yeah, we're joking a bit here about crashing tailgate parties. I've never had a problem with anyone not welcoming me once I showed up.
And that will be kind of the order of the day today for a number of these crews, whether they tailgate here or tailgate elsewhere or just even go to one of the fine restaurants or, as I said, even maybe a local's home to kind of get together as we kind of wrap down the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Speaking of that, do you remember...
Yes, I remember.
No,
nothing, but I remember.
Back in the day, who was the family? Was it over on Edith, where they did like tacos and things in the mornings, and a lot of the crew would pull up and just park on the side of the road? I know I had breakfast there a couple of times.
Yep.
And I think the sad part of the story is I think the city, the health department finally cracked down on them because they weren't a licensed food vendor and didn't have all the health certificates or whatever. But they had quite a booming business going on in their front yard because they were right along Edith as you came to and from refueling back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was a really popular place for balloonists, and there were tables and chairs and whatnot set up out in the front yard, and people would stop and have breakfast there. It was
for
really
a few
quite
years.
a thing.
They actually even opened up the backyard.
That's right.
For parking and those types of things.
Yeah.
So that's been a number of years, and so the little community over there has been definitely involved.
Yeah, I can remember we were all kind of bummed when when officialdom got in the way and they didn't have all the necessary licensing, et cetera. That looks like probably one of the bands driving in from Music Fest.
Yeah.
Balloonists don't usually have rigs like that.
No, but our RV parks have lots of rigs like that.
Well, yes, they do.
But yeah, I was wondering with the police escort
but they
down
don't
there.
drive down onto the field with a police escort. That's why.
And this is at the north end, so this is from a camera that is literally right next to the Music Fiesta stage.
Yeah, so I'm sure that's one of the bands that's going to pull in there and park to unload talent and gear and whatnot.
Our headliner today at Music Fiesta, Cole Swindell, the kind of supporting act, I think we call it, is Lainey Wilson, and our opener is Restless Road. So a great afternoon of music here at Music Fiesta. You do need your own ticket to get inside the seating area.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
you can hang out on the field and hear it free of charge, I guess.
Yep.
Excuse me.
We didn't say that, though.
No, I would never say that. A couple of people are asking about, well, what about tonight? Yeah, tonight is still go.
Yeah, we don't make those
Sorry,
decisions.
I was trying to reach the mic and cut it off before I sneezed in everybody's face. My apologies.
Yeah, right in my ear.
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry. You saw me. I was reaching.
You
for
were
the
reaching.
Mic.
You were
I
reaching.
couldn't push the button quick enough.
Yeah. So as we were saying, we make these decisions literally by the minute, the 10-minute mark
at the
at
hour.
that time,
yeah.
at the hour as it's happening. As we saw last night, things can change in as little as 10 minutes, and we need to be able to be flexible about those. So we don't cancel until it is painfully obvious that it's time to do that.
We have to. And
so everything's still to go tonight and tomorrow morning.
Speaking of painfully obvious, you mentioned that they had told pilots they probably should be down at least by 9 o'clock. Well, it's 8:35, 37 something.
Yep.
And we have rain returning to the field as was expected. So hopefully I don't see any balloons still out. Those folks that were out drawing up, even Cork the Puppy, they're just down to packing their tarp now, I believe.
So we're going to just spend the next 3 minutes here kind of wrapping it up, telling you what is on tap for the next couple of days, because as Glenn said, it is starting to rain here again. Our balloons are down. We don't have a whole lot more to show you on the feed, and we want to get our camera gear out of the weather as well.
Not to mention our talent.
Exactly. So let's just recap again what we have on tap yet this afternoon.
Well, it's the final Saturday night. That means we have the primary objective is the Night Magic Glow,
which comes with a fast track skydive before and after
at 5 o'clock, which we typically will do live here on the field, and then we video it and show it later when we go on air for our people on the feed at 6 o'clock.
The drone show.
The drone show, the pyrotechnic jump later in the evening by Team Fast Tracks. And, of course, as always, the Afterglow fireworks.
Yeah.
So
that's tonight. Of course, right before that, Music Festa we were just talking about.
Yeah.
At the 1 o'clock time, it's Restless Road, 2:30 Laney Wilson, 4 o'clock Cole Swindell. Pin trading at 11 o'clock, as well as the awards brunch at 11 o'clock. And the 10 o'clock auction of the chainsaw carvers. And, of course, our merchandise tents, our vendors will probably remain, many of them will probably remain open throughout that entire time as well.
I'm sure they will, and we'll welcome customers. This afternoon, activities get underway about 3 o'clock. One of the bands performing tonight on the main stage is a group called Mirage, a Santana Experience. So might hear a little bit of the Black Magic Woman being played up on the main stage. That would be kind of cool. There is Yoda, our camera. No cameraman.
We brought our mobile camera up here, so you're going to kind of getting a few shots of what it looks like, of what the whole set here. Our other cameras are kind of on their shots, us two and the
there's set shots
out there
in most
as
cases,
well.
but he was up around, walking around the set, giving us a behind-the-scenes look, if you will.
And then, of course, tomorrow morning, our farewell Mass Ascension, complete with Dawn Patrol Show, Krispy Kreme, our Mass Ascension, and then the work begins again to take this newly built city here at Balloon Fiesta Park and put it back into a city park, and that will happen literally in about a week and a half as we move forward.
Take everything down, fold it up, put it back. It's kind of like when you're at Christmas, after Christmas, you take the tree down, you take the lights down, you take the ornaments down, you put them all back in a box, you put them in a closet, and you wait and you bring them out next year. Well, we're going to do the same thing on a much bigger scale.
There you go, and we'll have a number of people doing that as well.
Yeah.
So we have made it to the 8:45 mark.
Okay.
The rain is starting to move in as we expected it to do that. So we are going to say goodbye until tonight, and we are really appreciative of you watching and sticking with us here at Balloon Fiesta Live and interacting with us. And for those of you on the field, thank you for coming out as well. You're welcome to stay the day and check out all the activities that are happening here, including Music Fiesta starting at 1 o'clock.
And I'm just going to go hang out with some of my sharp friends.
There you go. He's Glen Moyer. I'm Art Lloyd Jr., and you're watching Balloon Fiesta Live. See you tonight.
See ya.
You've been watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by Exxon Mobil. Want more balloon action? Visit the archive of all the Balloon Fiesta Live broadcasts at balloonfiesta.com. And make plans to join us in person for number 51, October 7th through the 15th, 2023. Thanks for watching Balloon Fiesta Live. This program is a production of AIBF Inc.